Chapter 624. Tian Yi was slightly stunned. He had thought that Qin Haodong would ask him for help, but he didn't expect that Qin Haodong would ask him this question. Did this young man want Sir Owen to protect him? But he was afraid that Sir Owen wouldn't be able to help him if he offended Master Enchanting. Besides, he only had business dealings with Sir Owen. There was no relationship at all, and Sir Owen would not help him. However, since Qin Haodong asked him this question, he could only answer, I've only met Sir Owen a few times, so I'm not familiar with him at all. Besides, Sir Owen doesn't care about a nobody like me. When Sir Owen held auctions here in the past, his butler, Mr. Fred, contacted me, so we're very familiar with each other and we're good friends. Qin Haodong said, that's enough. I just want to know if Sir Owen has any bronze statues of the 12 zodiac animals. Do you have any news about them? Looking at Qin Haodong's eager face, Tian Yi was full of helplessness. It seemed that this young man didn't realize his situation yet. He had offended Enchanting because of a snake head. What he should be thinking about now was how to resolve Master Enchanting's anger. Why was he still thinking about the bronze statues of the 12 zodiac animals? He said, Mr. Qin, please don't be angry with me. I think you should contact the chairman immediately. He has a good relationship with Master Jia, and Master Jia is Master Enchanting's junior brother. If Master Jia is willing to mediate, you can give the snake head to Master Enchanting. Then you can resolve the grudge today. Otherwise, the consequences will be very serious. Qin Haodong was stunned. He was eager to get another animal head, but he didn't expect that Tian Yi would talk about this. How could he ask Master Jia to mediate the relationship between him and Enchanting? If he wanted to find Master Jia now, he would have to go to hell. He said, Manager Tian, I appreciate your kindness, but you don't have to worry about Enchanting. I can handle it myself. Can you tell me whether Sir Owen has any more bronze statues of the 12 zodiac animals? Seeing that Qin Haodong didn't listen to his advice, Tian Yi could only sigh and said, Fred was drunk when I was drinking with him once. He mentioned that Sir Owen had 2 bronze statues of the 12 zodiac animals. One was auctioned today, so it's very likely that he has another one. Really? That's great. Qin Haodong was very excited when he heard that Sir Owen still had a bronze head. If he could get 2 upper-grade primordial stones, he would be able to break through to the elixir realm late stage. With the purity of the everlasting greenwood skill, he would definitely be invincible below the saint realm. He asked excitedly, Manager Tian, is there any way to get Sir Owen to auction the copper hand as well? Tian Yi shook his head and said, it's up to Sir Owen to decide what to sell. Even Fred can only follow his orders. How can I do anything about it? Qin Haodong said again, then can you help me buy the remaining bronze head sculpture of the 12 zodiacs? No matter how much it costs. That's not very possible either. Tian Yi said, Sir Owen is a famous great collector. His family is very rich and doesn't lack money at all. He will only auction certain collections when he is tired of them. It's almost impossible to buy an item from him alone. Moreover, as a butler, it was his duty to keep secrets for his master. Fred had only told him that Sir Owen had 2 bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals when he was drunk. If we rush to ask for it, we won't get anything. If you buy it, not only will you not get anything, but you will also cause trouble for Fred. He might even lose his position as chief butler. Qin Haodong also realized that this was not a good idea. He said, Manager Tian, you are an expert in this field. Can you help me find a way to buy the remaining bronze head sculpture from Sir Owen? Sir Owen did not attach much importance to these things when he sold the snakehead sculpture, but they were extremely precious to Qin Haodong. Tian Yi said, Sir Owen is a great collector. Successful collectors like him rarely sell their collections. They usually give them as gifts to friends or exchange them with others. Mr. Qin, if you want to get the other bronze head sculpture, the best way is to find something that Sir Owen is interested in and then exchange it with him. That's a good idea, Qin Haodong said. Manager Tian, do you know what Sir Owen likes most? In other words, What can I use to exchange for the bronze head sculpture from him? Tianyi said, Sir Owen loves to collect. Due to historical reasons, most of the antiques in his inventory are from Huaxia, so it's really not easy to interest him with something from Huaxia. As a great collector, what Sir Owen lacks most are European classical relics. At the same time, he is also very fond of these things. Mr. Fred told me that Sir Owen likes Picasso's paintings best, but the most regrettable thing is that although he has a rich collection, there are no works of Picasso. So he told me several times that once a painting of Picasso appears at the auction, I must inform Sir Owen in advance and buy it no matter how much it costs. If you can have Picasso's works, you can exchange them with Sir Owen, not to mention the bronze head sculpture of the 12 zodiac animals from Huaxia. Qin Haodong was delighted. It might be more difficult to get other antiques, but when it came to ancient paintings, he had his own processing plant and could make a batch at will. After saying that, Tianyi shook his head and said, It's impossible. Although there are many paintings of Picasso when he was alive, there are very few antique lovers in the world. All his works have been collected and they haven't appeared at international auctions in recent years. Qin Haodong said, Manager Tian, I happen to have some paintings of Picasso at home. I'll bring them to you in a few days and ask you to help me identify them. If possible, contact Sir Owen and exchange with him. What? Tianyi almost bit his tongue. He didn't expect that Qin Haodong really had Picasso's paintings. What the hell were they? Did he have more than one painting in his hand? Qin Haodong stood up and said, Manager Tian, thank you for helping me so much. I'll go back now. Let's contact each other another day. Wait a minute. Tianyi quickly said, Mr. Qin, if I'm not wrong, Master Ichenzi must be waiting for you outside. If you go out now, it will be very dangerous. Why don't you hide here for a while? Qin Haodong smiled and said, What are you talking about? I can't hide here all the time. Besides, he's just Ichenzi. It's not a big deal. After that, he walked out of the door with Nalan Wushwang. Tianyi said anxiously, Mr. Qin, please wait a minute. I'll call all the bodyguards of the auction house and ask them to escort you. It's really unnecessary. We can do it ourselves. Qin Haodong waved his hand to Tianyi and then strode out of his office. Tianyi didn't understand why this young man was so confident. He didn't take Master Ichenzi seriously at all. After thinking for a while, he picked up his mobile phone. Since he couldn't help Qin Haodong, he would report it to Old Master Li as soon as possible. As soon as Qin Haodong and Nalan Wushwang drove away from the auction house, Li Meiyu called and said hurriedly, Haodong, what happened? I heard that you offended Master Ichenzi again in the auction house. Qin Haodong smiled and said, that old faker pretended to be arrogant. He insisted on buying the snakehead sculpture at the lowest price, so I took it. Li Meiyu said anxiously, Haodong, how can you still laugh? Ichenzi is much more powerful than Master Jia. He's Master Jia's senior brother. Since you offended him, he will definitely take revenge on you. Qin Haodong said indifferently, he's just an old faker. It's not a big deal. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. He really didn't take Ichenzi seriously. He had a strong spirit as his foundation. When it came to magic arts, few people could surpass him. Li Meiyu said, well, be careful. Now that Master Jia was dead, it would be good if Mei Zhanlong didn't vent his anger on the Li family. They really couldn't help him in this matter. After hanging up the phone, Qin Haodong didn't return to the Li family's villa. Instead, he drove directly out of the city and chose a very remote place to stop. Nalan Wushwang asked, what are you going to do? Qin Haodong said, since there's trouble, I'd better solve it as soon as possible. He still had a lot of things to do, such as improving his cultivation and getting the other bronze head from Sir Owen. It was better to solve trouble like Ichenzi as soon as possible. He felt Ichenzi's aura as soon as he got in the car, so he directly drove out of the city to create a chance for Ichenzi to take action. Then he got out of the car, turned his head to the dark place and said, since you've been following me for so long, come out quickly. Don't dawdle. I'm in a hurry. Nalan Wushuang also got out of the car, holding the monk's staff in her hand. After Qin Haodong finished speaking, she saw a figure slowly appear from the darkness and walk to them. It was Ichenzi with a gloomy face. Ichenzi stared at Qin Haodong coldly and said with a murderous look, "Boy, do you know who I am?" Qin Haodong said, "Yes, I do. You're just an old faker. You swindle around all day long and claim to be a master, but what you do is dirty things. Boy, you're courting death." Ichenzi said, "Hand over the snake head and I'll consider sparing your life." Hand over the snake head? Are you kidding me? If I give it to you now, why did I buy it just now? Qin Haodong said, "You just want to rob me, don't you? Hurry up. I told you that I'm in a hurry." Chapter 625. Arrogant boy, I'm going to pull out your soul and burn it with fire for 49 days so that you can never be reincarnated. With a roar, Ichenzi took out a small black flag from his pocket. The flag was triangular and about the size of a palm. There was no pattern on it and it was completely black. He held the flag in his hand and waved it gently. Suddenly, an invisible force enveloped Qin Haodong. This was called the soul-taking flag, an extremely sinister magic weapon. Its effect was much stronger than that of the soul-taking talisman. It could absorb a person's soul with a gentle wave. The soul-taking flag had an effect on others, but Qin Haodong's spirit was so strong that he only felt a slight vibration in his spirit and then the vibration disappeared. He took a step forward and stood in front of Nalan Wushuang. Then he sneered and said, "Old faker, your broken flag seems to be useless." Ichenzi was shocked. He did not understand why the soul-taking flag, which had worked every time, suddenly failed. "Boy, I'll let you taste the feeling of hundreds of ghosts devouring your heart." He directly put away the soul-taking flag and took out a small black porcelain bottle. After opening the lid, a burst of red smoke came out and more than 100 ghosts sprayed out from it. Ichenzi and Master Jia were disciples of the same master, so their skills were similar. However, the ghosts released from the bottle were much more powerful than those released by Master Jia. For a time, the area within a radius of 10 meters was covered by ghosts. They were wailing and howling, like hell on earth. Among the ghosts, the leader was a ghost in red. Obviously, it was the Ghost King. It looked extremely fierce and it let out a shrill howl and pounced on Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong frowned slightly. When he was about to take out the yin-yang mirror, the monk's staff in Nalan Wushuang's hand suddenly reacted. The 12 golden rings moved without any wind and made a pleasant sound. Then the whole monk's staff shone with a golden light. The Buddha's light released by the monk's staff was so condensed that the ghosts immediately let out a miserable howl and then were purified. In the blink of an eye, the monk's staff had killed all the ghosts before Qin Haodong could do anything. Then the Buddha's light disappeared and everything returned to normal. Nalan Wushuang was shocked. She didn't expect that the thing in her hand was so powerful. No wonder Qin Haodong would spend so much money to buy it. Qin Haodong looked at the monk's staff and nodded with satisfaction. It was indeed a divine artifact. It could emit such a strong Buddha's light on its own. If it was driven by someone, its power would be at least 10 times greater. Ichenzi held the ghost-rearing bottle in his hand and was so distressed that his eyes almost cracked. He had spent a lot of effort on these ghosts, but they had been purified in the blink of an eye. At the same time, he also discovered that the Buddha's staff in Qin Haodong's hand was a great treasure, but he didn't notice it before. "Kid, hand over this treasure and the snake head, and I can spare your life." Qin Haodong glanced at him as if he was looking at an idiot and said, "Are you out of your mind? If you know it's a treasure, why should I give it to you? Are you my son?" "You." Ichenzi said angrily, "Don't think that I can't kill you with a monk's staff. Go to hell." He raised his hand, and more than a dozen talismans were sucked into the air. They burned without any fire, and more than a dozen golden talismans appeared in the air. Then, these talismans turned into wind blades and swarmed toward Qin Haodong. These were the wind blade talismans specially refined by Yi Chenzi. Each talisman could turn into a wind blade. He had killed countless masters with this kind of talisman. Qin Haodong glanced at these wind blades and his eyes were full of contempt. He sneered and said, "How dare a grain of rice shine?" Then he pinched his fingers and made a gesture. He stretched out his hand and pointed forward. Suddenly, a gust of wind rose from the ground and swept away the wind blades. Yi Chenzi's wind blades could fight against swords, but they couldn't resist Qin Haodong's gust of wind. In the blink of an eye, they dissipated in the air. His expression changed and then he sneered, "No wonder you are so arrogant. It turns out that you know some magic arts. But didn't your master teach you that as a master of magic arts, you should never let a warrior get close to you? But it's not your fault. No one would have thought that I'm a master of magic arts and martial arts. Go to hell," Yi Chenzi said and suddenly pulled out the long sword on his back. Then he turned into a stream of light and slashed at Qin Haodong's head. Sorcery and martial arts dual cultivation had always been his secret, and also his pride. Generally speaking, it was very difficult for a person to make achievements in magic arts or martial arts. It was almost impossible for him to practice magic arts and martial arts at the same time. For example, his junior brother Zhao Yang could not do it. Therefore, Yi Chenzi was very complacent and proud. In his opinion, even if Qin Haodong was proficient in magic arts, he would die if he got close to Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong glanced at Yi Chenzi. Others might not be able to see through Yi Chenzi's strength, but Qin Haodong had already seen through him. Qin Haodong was just a warrior at the covert power level. He really didn't know why Yi Chenzi was so proud. How dare he come to fight him at close range? Wasn't he courting death? The sword in Yi Chenzi's hand moved faster and faster. When it was about to hit Qin Haodong's forehead, a golden light flashed in front of him and a golden sword pierced through his heart. Yi Chenzi's sword fell to the ground helplessly. You also practice magic arts and martial arts at the same time?" At this time, his eyes were full of fear. He had always been proud of his ability to practice magic arts at the same time, but he did not expect that his opponent was also a master of magic arts. Moreover, his cultivation was much higher than his. He had reached the supreme power realm. He did not understand where this genius came from. No wonder Qin Haodong did not take him seriously at all. In comparison, he was not qualified to be taken seriously at all. At this time, his heart was full of regret. Why did he court death when Qin Haodong was so powerful? Unfortunately, it was too late for regret. Qin Haodong withdrew his Xian Yuan sword and Yi Chenzi fell to the ground with a thud and stopped breathing. Why should I be so greedy? Qin Haodong sighed with emotion. Then he took out the body-melting powder and sprinkled it on Yi Chenzi's body. Master Yi Chenzi, who was famous in Hong Kong, soon turned into a handful of ashes and disappeared in the air. After killing Yi Chenzi, Qin Haodong was not in a hurry to leave. He chose a flat space around and then set up a concealing formation. Then he set up a defensive formation. He wanted to absorb the upper-level spirit stone here and break through his current cultivation. He could not be disturbed when he was breaking through, and now there was Mei Zhanlong, who would come to kill him at any time. It was obviously not enough to rely on Nalan Wushuang to protect him, so he chose this place. His formation was safer. After everything was ready, he activated the concealing formation. The two people and the car all disappeared as if they had never appeared here. Qin Haodong took out the snake head and opened the seal formation outside. As expected, there was a golden upper-level spirit stone in it. He asked Nalan Wushuang to guard him, then he held the spirit stone in his palm and began to break through to the middle stage of the gold core realm. The spiritual qi emitted by the upper-level spirit stone was like a tide, rushing into his dantian like birds returning to their nests. During this period of time, through the double cultivation with Feng Wu, the gold core in his dantian had been extremely round, but it could not go further due to the limitation of the spiritual qi. Now with the nourishment of the upper-level spirit stone, the genuine qi in his body was growing rapidly. As time went by, the spirit stone in Qin Haodong's palm became smaller and smaller, while the gold core in his dantian became bigger and more solid. Half an hour later, there was a slight click in his mind, and then his momentum suddenly rose. He had taken a big step forward to the middle stage of the gold core realm, which was his previous cultivation. He slowly opened his eyes and the upper-level spirit stone in his hand had turned into powder. Nalan Wushuang had been guarding him nervously. Seeing Qin Haodong wake up, she hurried forward and asked, "How was it? Did you succeed?" Qin Haodong nodded and said, "Yes, I have now reached the 6th level of the Supreme Power Realm." "Great." Nalan Wushuang's face was full of joy. It seems that today's auction was not in vain. Qin Haodong was also very happy and said, "Of course, not only did I get the snake head, but I also got this Buddhist staff. This is a divine treasure." As he spoke, he took the Buddhist staff in his hand and looked at it carefully. He did not know the name of such a treasure. He looked at it from beginning to end, but there was no information about this Buddhist staff. He turned the green with genuine qi into Buddhist genuine qi and passed it over. In an instant, the Buddhist staff shone with a golden light and a string of words appeared in his mind. After reading these words, Qin Haodong understood that this Buddhist staff was indeed a Buddhist treasure. It was called the Demon Vanquishing Staff. In addition to subduing demons and devils, this staff had another important function. It could help people cultivate and get rid of their inner demons. Without the troubles of inner demons, the speed of cultivation would naturally be doubled. When cultivating, holding this Buddhist staff, the distracting thoughts in the heart would disappear. It was a top treasure to get rid of inner demons. The 12 golden rings on the staff could cut off 12 kinds of distracting thoughts in the heart and get rid of 12 kinds of inner demons. If inner demons appeared during cultivation, they would make a sound and the inner demons would be turned into nothingness by the rings. After learning about this unique function of the demon vanquishing staff, Qin Haodong's eyes lit up. The last time he went through the heavens tribulation, he was finally defeated by his inner demons. If he had this staff with him, it would be more secure when he went through the tribulation. Nalan Wushuang saw that he was stunned and asked in surprise, "How is it? Have you figured it out?" "I've figured it out." Qin Haodong said excitedly, "This Buddhist staff is called the Demon Vanquishing Staff. It's a good treasure. When you cultivate in the future, you can get twice the result with half the effort with it." "I don't want it." Nalan Wushuang said discontentedly, "Have you ever seen a girl holding a Buddhist staff in her hand all day?" Qin Haodong looked embarrassed and said, "This can help you improve your cultivation quickly. Don't fool me with the things that monks use." Nalan Wushuang asked with a straight face, "Sister Wan, is not holding a Buddhist staff. Tell me, how did she become a level 3 Supreme Power Master overnight?" Chapter 626. Qin Haodong held the monk's staff in his hand and was a little confused. He didn't expect Nalan Wushuang to suddenly mention this. Nalan Wushuang said, "What? Don't tell me that the improvement of Sister Wan's cultivation has nothing to do with you." Qin Haodong said hesitantly, "Yes, it has something to do with me, but..." Nalan Wushuang interrupted him directly and said, "No buts. You can't treat me differently. You have to give me what you gave Sister Wan. I also want to reach the 3rd level of the Supreme Power Realm." This. Qin Haodong hesitated for a moment and said, "This method of improving cultivation is a little special." Nalan Wushuang blushed and lowered her head and said, "I heard it from Sister Wan. I don't care. Anyway, I just want to improve my cultivation." Qin Haodong said, "Wushuang, have you really thought about it?" "Yes." Nalan Wushuang's cheeks had turned into a ripe red apple, and her voice was so low that only she could hear it. Qin Haodong said hesitantly, "Why don't you think about it again? We'll talk about it when we get back to Shanghai." "No, I want it now." Nalan Wushuang didn't know where she got the courage. She looked directly at Qin Haodong and said, "I want to improve my cultivation as soon as possible." I don't want to be your burden all the time. I want to be your woman as soon as possible. Qin Haodong had no reason to refuse her sincere confession and hot feelings. He reached out and held Nailan Wushuang in his arms and kissed her hard. As time went by, the temperature of the two of them was getting higher and higher, as if there was a raging fire burning in their hearts. Qin Haodong took out a sheet and spread it on the ground. Then he lay down with Nailan Wushuang in his arms. This place was not like Shanghai. There was no one to protect them when they were cultivating. For the sake of safety, he chose this place for cultivation. With the protection of the formation, this place was much safer than the Li family's villa. 2 hours later, Qin Haodong and Nailan Wushuang walked out of the formation hand in hand. At this time, Nailan Wushuang had changed dramatically. Her cultivation had jumped from the 6th level of the covert power to the 6th level of the supreme power realm. In just a few minutes, she had crossed the threshold that many people could not cross in their lives. At the same time, she completed the most important transformation in a woman's life. She looked beautiful and charming, and she had the unique charm of a mature woman. Qin Haodong put away the formation flag. They got in the car and rushed to the Li's villa together. At this time, the Li family's villa was in a mess. Li Meiyu waited for a long time but did not see Qin Haodong. She immediately called Qin Haodong, but he did not answer. She then called Nailan Wushuang, but she still could not get through. She thought that Qin Haodong and Li Meiyu had been killed by Yi Chenzi, so she quickly mobilized all the forces of the Li family to inquire about the news. But after waiting for a long time, not only was there no news of them, but even Yi Chenzi had disappeared without a trace. There was no news at all. In contrast, Li Dongguo was much calmer. He said to Li Meiyu while tasting the tea, "Girl, you don't have to be so anxious. I think although the medical sage is young, he is very steady and methodical. He will definitely be fine. But there's still no news of them. The auction has already ended. Where could they have gone?" While they were talking, Qin Haodong and Nailan Wushuang walked in hand. Seeing that Qin Haodong was safe and sound, Li Meiyu was finally relieved. She stepped forward and said, "Where have you two been? I can't find you and I can't get through to your phone. I'm so worried." Qin Haodong smiled awkwardly. Of course, he could not tell her that they had sex outside the city. He said, "We just walked around and looked at the night view of Hong Kong. They had come back safely, so it was no longer important where they had gone. I thought you were killed by Yi Chenzi." Li Meiyu came to her senses and asked, "By the way, did you meet Yi Chenzi? I heard that you robbed him of the bronze head of the 12 zodiac animals at the auction and humiliated him. He will definitely make trouble for you." Qin Haodong said, "We met him. He has been following us since we came out of the venue." "He didn't do anything to you, did he?" Although she knew that they were safe and sound, Li Meiyu could not help but feel a little nervous. After all, Yi Chenzi and his disciple were so famous in Hong Kong that they were omnipotent gods in the eyes of many people. Qin Haodong spread out his hands and said, "We're fine." "You saw it." Li Dongguo said, "I know something about Yi Chenzi. He has a high cultivation, but he is very narrow-minded. How could he let you two go?" Li Meiyu said, "Yes, did you give him the snakehead sculpture? This snakehead sculpture is a treasure of Huaxia. I was going to take it back and hand it in." Qin Haodong said, "Yi Chenzi really didn't want to let us go, so I sent him to reunite with his younger brother." "What? You killed Yi Chenzi?" Li Dongguo was so shocked that the teacup in his hand fell to the ground and broke into pieces. It was no wonder that he was surprised. Although Yi Chenzi and Zhao Yang were brothers, Yi Chenzi's cultivation was much higher than Zhao Yang's. This was also the reason why they were worried about Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong nodded gently and said, "Yes, if I don't kill Yi Chenzi, he will come to me sooner or later. It's better to get rid of him once and for all." "Medical sage, you're really a master." Li Dongguo was completely convinced. Master Zha and Yi Chenzi, who were originally supreme in their eyes, had been killed by Qin Haodong so easily. Then his expression became serious again and he said, "But in this way, there is no room for reconciliation between you and Mei Zhanlong. I didn't intend to reconcile with him at first. This old faker is completely a deceiver. He is a prostitute and likes to call himself a master. There is no need for such a person to stay in this world." Qin Haodong said, "I guess it will take a few days for Mei Zhanlong to react. At that time, I will get rid of him and return to Huaxia." Li Donghua said, "Medical sage, I can't help you in the battle between masters like you. If there is anything we can do for you, just let me know. Leave this matter to me. You don't have to worry about it, old master." Qin Haodong was also very satisfied with the Li family. This trip to Hong Kong was not in vain. Not only had his cultivation improved to the middle stage of the Gold Core realm, but he had also obtained the Devil Vanquishing Wand. Li Donghua waved his hand and called Uncle Cheng over. "It's getting late. Hurry up and arrange a room for medical sage to rest." Uncle Cheng bowed and said, "Mr. Qin, please come with me." Qin Haodong and Nalan Wushuang left with Uncle Cheng. Suddenly, he thought of something, but after hesitating for a while, he finally held it back. He wanted to ask Uncle Cheng to arrange 2 rooms for them, but he couldn't say it in front of everyone. He could only hope that Uncle Cheng could think of this. But in fact, he was disappointed. Qin Haodong and Nalan Wushuang acted like a couple. How could Uncle Cheng let them separate? He directly arranged a luxury suite for them to live in. With the body integration cultivation just now, Qin Haodong did not refuse anymore. The 2 of them lived in a room together. In Mei Zhanlong's manor, the steward waited for a long time. The auction was over, but there was still no sign of Yiqinzi. He sent someone out to inquire about the news and learned that Yiqinzi had a conflict with Qin Haodong at the auction. He thought that Yiqinzi must have gone to kill that Huaxia guy and would come back soon. However, there was still no news of Yiqinzi until dawn. On the contrary, his subordinates reported that Qin Haodong and Nalan Wushuang had returned to the Li family safe and sound, which immediately made him have a bad feeling. Mei Zhanlong had only 2 disciples in total. Now Zhao Yang's body was in the back hall and Yiqinzi had lost contact with him. Mei Zhanlong could not hold it any longer. He hurried to the room where Mei Zhanlong was doing closed-door cultivation and gently knocked on the door. Mei Zhanlong cultivated magic arts, which were not as strict as martial artists. However, under normal circumstances, no one dared to disturb him. After a long time, a low voice came from the room, "Who is it? Don't you know that I'm in closed-door cultivation?" The steward braced himself and said, "Master, it's me. Something big happened, so I came to disturb you." Mei Zhanlong said, "Come in." The steward answered, pushed the door open and walked in. The room was very empty. There was a futon in the middle of the room, and an old man was sitting on it, cultivating. He was the owner of this manor, Mei Zhanlong, who was known as the #1 master of magic arts in Hong Kong. Mei Zhanlong looked like he was in his 70s or 80s. His beard and hair were all white and he was dressed in a cyan robe. He had a very sage-like demeanor. At this time, he was sitting on the futon with his eyes still closed. He asked in a deep voice, "What's the matter? Tell me." The steward bowed and said respectfully, "Master, something happened to senior brother Yiqinzi and senior brother Zhang Liang." After that, he told him what had happened from beginning to end. After hearing this, Mei Zhanlong's eyes suddenly opened. There was a flash of light in his eyes and he said with a murderous look, "Someone dares to hurt my disciple. Who is the other party? Have you found out?" The steward said, "Yes. His name is Qin Haodong. He is famous in Huaxia and has the title of medical sage. Even if the 2 senior brothers did not die in his hands, they were directly related to him." Mei Zhanlong stood up and said in a cold voice, "Where is Zhao Yang's body? Take me to see it. It's in the back hall." After that, the steward turned around and led the way. Mei Zhanlong followed him and the 2 of them went to the back hall together. When he saw Zhao Yang's body, Mei Zhanlong's expression instantly turned cold. He said in a deep voice. His 3 souls and 7 spirits were all burned up, and he didn't even have the chance to reincarnate. What a sinister method. Chapter 627. Although Mei Zhanlong said so, he was shocked in his heart. He had already seen the cause of Zhao Yang's death. He must have used the Roaring Flame's soul-refining talisman and then died because of the backlash. Qin Haodong was not afraid of the Roaring Flame's soul-refining talisman, but he could even counterattack Zhao Yang. This kind of cultivation made him a little scared. The steward did not speak and listened respectfully. In his opinion, Mei Zhanlong would definitely burst into a thunderous rage and kill Qin Haodong. It was not surprising that even the Li family would be angry with him. However, Mei Zhanlong did not fly into a rage as he thought. He said, "I'll write a letter of challenge now and you can send it to that person." The steward was slightly stunned and then said, "Master, is it necessary to be so troublesome? Why don't you just go to him and kill him?" Mei Zhanlong said, "As the number 1 person in Hong Kong, everyone respects me as a master. Naturally, I have to act like a master. Just do as I say." Of course, he would not tell the steward what he was thinking. Qin Haodong's cultivation shocked him a little. First, he made the Roaring Flame's soul-refining talisman backfire, and then he killed Echanzi silently. Even he had to be careful when facing such an opponent. He had to make sufficient preparations in advance. Otherwise, he would fall from the pedestal of the number 1 person in Hong Kong after this battle. It took time to prepare. Now that both of his disciples had been killed by Qin Haodong, if he did not do something, he would definitely be laughed at and questioned by others. In order to save his face and win time to prepare, sending a letter of challenge was the best way. Of course, the steward did not think so much. He had worked for Mei Zhanlong for so many years and had long developed a proud and arrogant character. In his eyes, Mei Zhanlong was invincible in the world. When Mei Zhanlong finished writing the letter of challenge, he took it to the Li family's manor. Early the next morning, 20 members of Daddy Security Company that Qin Haodong had transferred from Jiangnan had already flown to Hong Kong and arrived at the Li family's villa. The leader was Zhang Tiniu. His cultivation had reached the half-step Supreme Power Realm, which was only a small step away from the Supreme Power Realm. The other members of Daddy Security Company behind him had also reached the 6th level of covert power or above. Moreover, these people were originally from the military and later began to practice martial arts. Their abilities in all aspects were extremely outstanding. Such a powerful bodyguard team was enough to protect the head of a country. "Thank you for your hard work." Qin Haodong reached out and patted Zhang Tiniu on the shoulder. Zhang Tiniu suddenly felt that the bottleneck of the Supreme Power Realm, which had been bothering him for a long time, was instantly broken. The genuine qi in his body was unimpeded, and his momentum suddenly rose. The boss's gentle pat actually helped him break through and reach the 1st level of the Supreme Power Realm. "Thank you, boss." Zhang Tiniu looked at Qin Haodong with admiration and worship. Qin Haodong nodded slightly. It seemed that after refining the enhanced version of the elixir, these people's realms had improved quite well. He believed that it would not take long for them to cross the threshold of the Supreme Power Realm. He introduced Zhang Tiniu and the others to Li Donghua. They were talking in the living room when Uncle Cheng, the butler, suddenly ran in and said in a panic, "Master, Mei Zhanlong's steward is here. He said that he is here to send a letter of challenge." Li Donghua was also a little nervous and looked at Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong said, "Let him in." Uncle Cheng nodded and left. Not long after, he came back with an arrogant manager. After entering the door, the supervisor said arrogantly, "Which one of you is Qin Haodong?" "That's me." The supervisor curled his lips and looked at Qin Haodong. Then, he handed over the letter of challenge in his hand and said, "Boy, this is the letter of challenge from my master." Qin Haodong took the letter of challenge and looked at it. There were not many words on it. It said, 7 days later, at 10 a.m., we will fight to the death on Divine Dragon Island. It was signed by Mei Zhanlong. He threw the letter of challenge aside and said, go back and tell Mei Zhanlong that I accept the letter of challenge." The supervisor sneered and said, "Boy, you're not thinking of running away, are you? Let me tell you, if you run away, the Li family will be the first to suffer. You're so uneducated. Didn't Mei Zhanlong teach you how to be a man?" Qin Haodong was completely infuriated by the supervisor's attitude. After entering the door, this guy had been showing off again and again. He waved his hand to Zhang Tinyu and said, "Throw him out." "How dare you? Boy, I'm the supervisor of Master Mei Zhanlong. How dare you disrespect me?" Before he could finish speaking, Zhang Tinyu's fist, which was as big as a casserole, appeared in front of him. The punch made his nostrils bleed and he could no longer say a word. Then, he was picked up like a chicken. As the supervisor of Mei Zhanlong, this guy also had a certain level of cultivation. Originally, he wanted to resist, but he found that in front of Zhang Tinyu, his little ability was like a child's game. It didn't work at all. Zhang Tinyu carried him to the gate and threw him out. The supervisor got up from the ground and wanted to show off his power, but when he saw Zhang Tinyu's fierce eyes, he was so scared that he did not dare to say anything and ran back in disgrace. In the living room, Li Donghua and Li Meiyu also read the letter of challenge. Li Donghua said with some worry, "Little brother medical sage, how is it? Are you confident?" "It's nothing. He's just an old faker. It's just that 7 days is a little long." Qin Haodong did not take this challenge too seriously. He asked, "Where is this Divine Dragon Island?" Li Donghua said, "Divine Dragon Island is a small island about 50 or 60 nautical miles away from Hong Kong. It's very desolate and no one goes there. I'll arrange a ship to send you there in 7 days." Qin Haodong asked a few simple questions and then returned to his room. Li Donghua thought that he was going to prepare for the war, so he ordered his family not to disturb him. Of course, he was not going to prepare for the war. 7 days was enough for him to do a lot of things. The most important thing now was to get the bronze head from Sir Owen. If he could get another upper-level spirit stone and improve his cultivation to the 9th level of the supreme power realm, he would be able to kill any strong master, let alone Mei Zhanlong. Qin Haodong turned on his laptop and searched a lot of Picasso's works. He also looked at the ancient paintings of other European celebrities. After that, he found a lot of information and materials. As an expert in counterfeiting, he naturally knew how to make a flawless ancient painting. 2 hours later, he went out with Nalan Wushuang and began to buy a lot of things related to painting. He bought all kinds of painting paper and then got busy in the room. Near dusk, Qin Haodong had imitated 40 paintings of Picasso. These paintings were divided into 4 groups of 10 in a group. He stretched and said to Nalan Wushuang, who was concentrating on cultivating next to him, "Wushuang, come and see how my painting is." Nalan Wushuang stopped cultivating and walked to his side. She picked up a painting and glanced at it. Then she spat and said, "Rogue." Qin Haodong was a little confused. He saw Nalan Wushuang's perfect figure and just had a little thought. How could she be a rogue? He couldn't help but look at the painting in Nalan Wushuang's hand. It was a sketch of a middle-aged woman. She was naked, with plump breasts, slender waist, and mysterious areas. Even the expression on her face could be seen clearly. Qin Haodong said with a smile, "This is art. If it is taken out, it can be sold for a lot of money." Nalan Wushuang curled her lips and said, "How much can it be sold for? Don't think I don't know that these things only cost a few hundred yuan. That's different. When I first bought them, they were raw materials. Now they are works of art after being processed by me. Picasso's supreme works of art." Nalan Wushuang looked through it a few more times. This group was all sketches of the human body. She threw it aside and picked up another group to look at. This group was painted by children, so she could accept it. The sketch paper processed by Qin Haodong was completely different from the one they had just bought. The whole scroll was dark, and the material of the paper seemed to have changed. If she hadn't bought these things, she would really think that they were sketch paper from the Middle Ages. As for the things in the paintings, she didn't know anything about antiques of Huaxia, let alone Western art. Qin Haodong asked, "What do you think of these paintings?" Naylan Wushuang put the sketch paper on the table and said with a smile, "I think I drew better than this when I was in primary school." Qin Haodong was speechless and said, "Forget it, it's useless to show it to you. I'd better find an expert to have a look and see if there are any loopholes in my paintings." Although he had absolute confidence in his imitation of ancient paintings, this was the first time he had copied a Western work, and it was related to the bronze head of the 12 zodiac animals. He had to be careful. Thinking of this, he took out his mobile phone and dialed Tian Ye's number. "Hello, Mr. Qin. What can I do for you?" When the phone was connected, Tian Ye's respectful voice came from the other side. In just half a day, the news that Master Mei Zhanlong had challenged the medical sage of Huaxia had spread throughout Hong Kong. At this moment, he already knew Qin Haodong's identity and heard that this young man had killed Master Xia and Ichenzi in succession. Whether it was his identity as the medical sage or his super cultivation, it was enough to make him admire him from the bottom of his heart. "Manager Tian, I want to ask you if you know anything about the appraisal of traditional Chinese paintings, the Western kind." Tian Yi said, "I just know a little, but I'm not very proficient. If you need, I have a professional appraiser here. They will give you a satisfactory appraisal." Qin Haodong said, "That's great. I have a piece of Picasso's work here. Please bring someone here to appraise it." "Mr. Qin, are you sure you're not joking?" Although he had heard from Qin Haodong that he had a painting of Picasso, he didn't take it too seriously. He thought that Qin Haodong was just joking. Picasso could be said to be the only person in the history of human art who had seen his own works collected by the Louvre when he was still alive. His reputation could be imagined. When he was alive, all his works had been collected by enthusiasts and his works could hardly be seen on the market. Chapter 628. Qin Haodong said, "Of course it's true. Manager Tian, I don't need to joke with you." Tian Yi realized that he had lost his composure and quickly said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Qin. I was just too shocked. Please forgive me. It doesn't matter. Is it convenient for you to come and appraise it for me now?" "No problem. I'll take the appraiser there now. Please wait a moment." Tian Yi hung up the phone and immediately called the appraiser, Zhang Chaohui. As the largest auction house in Hong Kong, there were more than a dozen appraisers here, and Zhang Chaohui was the top one. He was best at appraising ancient European paintings. "Manager, what can I do for you? It's almost time to get off work." "Are you asking me to work overtime?" A young man in his 30s came in. He was Zhang Chaohui. He had a good relationship with Tian Yi, so he didn't hesitate to talk to him. Tian Yi said, "Take your tools and come with me. There's an important collection that needs your appraisal." Zhang Chaohui said, "Can't we wait until tomorrow? It's not easy for me to make an appointment with a beautiful girl today." "Of course we can't wait." Tian Yi pulled him up and walked out. As he walked, he said, "It's the old man's distinguished guest. We have to serve him carefully." They got in the car and drove in the direction of the Li family's villa. "These rich people really don't care about us workers." Zhang Chaohui sat in the passenger seat and asked after venting his dissatisfaction, "What are you going to appraise this time?" "Picasso's painting." "What?" Zhang Chaohui, who was originally lazy, suddenly sat up straight, and then like a deflated ball, he lay back down and said, "How is this possible? Who would sell Picasso's paintings now? I guess this stupid rich man must have been cheated by others." He casually made a painting and said it was painted by Picasso. It was not strange for him to say that. As the chief appraiser of the auction house, he had seen many rich people being cheated by those swindlers over the years. They spent a lot of money and bought a bunch of fake goods. Tian Yi said, "I don't know if it's true or not, so I took you with me. I'm telling you, this is the old man's distinguished guest. You must be careful and respectful." As a professional manager, Tian Yi still had his manners and did not reveal Qin Haodong's identity. Soon, they arrived at the villa of the Li family. Zhang Tiniu led them to Qin Haodong's room. Knowing that there were guests coming, Nalan Wushuang went to the inner room to cultivate. There was only him in the room. "Boss, I've brought the guest." Zhang Tiniu stood behind Qin Haodong respectfully. Tian Yi said, "Mr. Qin, this is Zhang Chaohui, the chief auctioneer of our auction house. He is particularly good at appraising ancient European paintings. Please take a seat." After Qin Haodong asked them to sit down, he reached for a painting on the table. It was the nude sketch that Nalan Wushuang had just seen. "Mr. Zhang, could you please help me identify if this painting is the real one of Picasso?" After that, he handed the nude sketch to Zhang Jiahui. Since the moment he saw Qin Haodong, Zhang Jiahui had despised him. He thought that Qin Haodong must be a rich second generation who had been cheated again. In his opinion, Qin Haodong's painting could never be authentic. However, as a professional appraiser, he still had the basic qualities. His expression was very serious. He took out white gloves from his pocket and put them on. He took Qin Haodong's painting and then took out a magnifying glass to look at it. At first, Zhang Jiahui didn't pay much attention, but the moment he saw the painting, he immediately became serious. He didn't look at what was drawn on the drawing. Instead, he looked at the sketch paper and gently folded it with his hand to feel the hardness and flexibility of the paper. This was the procedure that an excellent appraiser should follow when appraising a piece of art. After checking the material of the sketch paper, Zhang Chaohui's expression became more and more dignified. He had confirmed that the sketch paper in his hand was produced in Europe in the 1940s and 1950s of the last century. He believed that there was no way he could fool his eyes. Now he could be sure that even if these sketches were not Picasso's works, they were copied in the last century. From this point of view, they could also be regarded as ancient paintings. Tian Yi looked at them, and his expression also became serious. He had worked with Zhang Jiahui for many years, and he had already seen some clues from his friend's expression. Now it seemed that the painting Qin Haodong took out was absolutely not ordinary. It was really Picasso's work. "Jacqueline, this is Jacqueline." When Zhang Jiahui turned his eyes to the nude woman in the painting, he immediately let out a scream, attracting everyone's eyes. Hearing the noise outside, Nalan Wushuang was not in the mood to cultivate. She came to the door and eavesdropped. She also wanted to see if these European ancient paintings made by Qin Haodong could still be faked. Zhang Tiniu stood behind Qin Haodong and couldn't help curling his lips. These Hong Kong people were really ignorant. Wasn't it just a naked woman? What was the fuss about? Nowadays, a large number of pornographic films could be found on the internet. Hadn't they seen them? Zhang Tiniu was a layman, but Tian Yi still knew a little. After hearing the name, he immediately realized that the woman in the painting was Picasso's last wife. Picasso had countless women in his life, and Jacqueline was his last wife. During the 8 years they were together, although the old man always had mistresses, Jacqueline accepted it. They had been hand in hand for the last period of Picasso's life. Jacqueline created a warm world for Picasso in his old age, and Picasso often found inspiration from her and painted a lot of portraits of her. 13 years after Picasso's death, Jacqueline committed suicide. After her death, Picasso's sketches and oil paintings for her flowed into the auction market, and the value of Picasso's paintings rose during that time. It could be said that it was these paintings related to Jacqueline that helped Picasso's works to reach a higher level. Qin Haodong also didn't know the woman in the painting, and he was not interested in anyone. He just wanted to know if there were any flaws in his ancient paintings. "Mr. Zhang Jiahui, have you got the result of your appraisal?" Zhang Jiahui, who was obsessed with the painting, came to his senses and carefully put down the painting in his hand. He grabbed Qin Haodong's arm and cried excitedly, "I guarantee with my reputation as an appraiser that this painting is absolutely real. It must have been made by Picasso, and it's a portrait of his wife. Dear Mr. Qin, can you tell me how you got this painting?" Nalan Wushuang, who was behind the door, smiled. It seemed that Qin Haodong had succeeded again. Qin Haodong was also very happy. He smiled and said, I just painted it. Zhang Jiaohui looked embarrassed and said, I'm sorry, Mr. Qin. I was too excited and offended your privacy. As an excellent appraiser, it was taboo to ask about the origin of the collection. Even in the international art market, the authenticity and origin of private trading objects were never important. The higher the social class, the more attention they paid to personal privacy. Because of this, in Zhang Jiaohui's view, Qin Haodong was mocking him. In any case, he would not realize that this was the truth. Nothing. Qin Haodong took 3 more paintings and said, help me identify whether these paintings are real or fake. He imitated Picasso's works and drew 40 pictures. Among them, 10 were human sketches, 10 were children sketches, 10 were still life sketches, and 10 were oil paintings. He took one from each group as a representative and let Zhang Jiaohui appraise it. Zhang Jiaohui showed a look of astonishment at first. Each of Picasso's works was very valuable now. It was great to be lucky enough to collect one. He did not expect that Qin Haodong would take out 4 of them at once. He excitedly received the 3 paintings and began to seriously appraise them. Tianyi also showed a look of astonishment. Yesterday, Qin Haodong said that he had some paintings of Picasso. He did not expect that he really had some, not just one. If he knew that there were 36 such paintings in Qin Haodong's drawer, he wondered if his eyeballs would fall to the ground. Zhang Jiaohui identified them very carefully. After a full 10 minutes, he raised his head and said excitedly, Mr. Qin, you are amazing. I can assure you that these paintings are the authentic works of Mr. Picasso, and they are very well preserved. There are no flaws at all. Nailan Wushuang, who was behind the door, almost laughed out loud. She thought to herself that these paintings had just been freshly made. It had been less than a few hours, so they were naturally well preserved. After making sure that he had not left any flaws, Qin Haodong also breathed a sigh of relief and said to Tianyi and Tianyi, you too, I'm not very good at art. Can you help me estimate the value of these paintings? Tianyi said, there is no specific price for art. It can only be estimated. About 5 years ago, 7 of Picasso's sketches appeared at an auction. At that time, they were sold for $8 million. Although there are only 4 of your paintings, the advantage is that they have a complete range, including all the types of Picasso's paintings. If they are made into an album, and taking into account the factors of the rise of art in recent years, the value should be about $10 million to $15 million US. So much money? Qin Haodong was shocked by the number. Although he knew that Picasso was very famous, he did not expect his paintings to be so valuable. Of course. Zhang Jiaohui took over the topic and said, Picasso is a real artistic genius. The 20th century belongs to him. No artist can be as well known as Picasso with a changeable painting style. Although he is a high-yield painter and has created more than 60,000 works in his life, this number is too small compared with the number of people in the world who collect them. When Picasso was alive, his tens of thousands of works had been collected by others, and there were basically no works in circulation on the market. It is precisely because of this that the value of Picasso's paintings is created. Chapter 629. Qin Haodong said, if I exchange Picasso's paintings with Sir Owen, how many pieces will he accept? Tianyi said, Mr. Qin, it seems that you still don't know how influential Picasso's works are in the world. Any of these paintings in your hands will attract collectors all over the world. Although the value of antiques and works of art in Huaxia has risen rapidly in recent years, in the eyes of many collectors, there is no comparison between the two at all. Sir Owen, in particular, has a large number of Huaxia works of art and antiques in his warehouse. What he lacks is a work of art with a strong international influence like Picasso. If you exchange these paintings with him, maybe he will exchange 1 or 2 pieces with you. If you take out all 4 pieces and put them together into an album, then he will definitely give you the bronze head with both hands. Maybe he will also give you some other antiques. Really? You're not lying to me, are you? Qin Haodong couldn't believe his ears. In his mind, the sculpted heads of the 12 zodiac animals were priceless treasures. That was why he drew 40 paintings of Picasso in one go, for fear that he would not be able to exchange for more. Tianyi shook his head with a wry smile and said, Mr. Qin, how could I joke about this kind of thing? Zhang Jiahui said, Mr. Qin, don't be surprised. Maybe you are not familiar with the international art market. Although Huaxia has a long history in civilization, more than 60% of our precious cultural relics have been lost overseas for well-known reasons. This is an extremely large number, which is somewhat beyond people's imagination. But foreign works of art are different. It may take 10 or even hundreds of years for an artistic genius to appear, such as Mozart, Da Vinci, Picasso, Van Gogh, and so on. Because of their scarcity, the rarer they are, the greater the value of these works of art. For example, Beethoven's handwritten stave was once sold at a sky-high price at an auction. Because of the difference in quantity, it is very easy to find China's works of art in the international auction market. We can see them anytime and anywhere. But it is very difficult to find the works of Picasso, Van Gogh, and others. Once there is news of Picasso's paintings at an auction, it will immediately attract countless collectors from all over the world. Even with Sir Owen's wealth and influence, he doesn't have a single painting of Picasso, which shows how precious it is. Qin Haodong said, I've long heard that monks from afar can chant scriptures, but I didn't expect works of art to be like this. Tianyi said, in fact, it's not that Huaxia antiques are inferior to foreign works of art. It's a matter of quantity. After all, Huaxia has a long history and there are many outstanding talents. Naturally, there are many antiques. Another reason was the problem of people's cognition. Great artists like Picasso and Van Gogh had global influence, and almost everyone knew their names. In the early years, China implemented a policy of seclusion. Paintings and calligraphy were more in line with the aesthetics of the Chinese. It was difficult for Westerners to appreciate and accept it. Therefore, there were many outstanding artists in China, but their influence in the world was not comparable to Van Gogh and Da Vinci. For those collectors, the market value of the goods is not the most important. They value the reputation of the works more. In the eyes of some big collectors, maybe 100 antiques of Huaxia are not as good as one of Picasso's works. Zhang Jiahui said, in the past few years, the price of Huaxia antiques in the international market was not high. It was only in recent years that some international speculators and auction houses raised the price. But in the eyes of European and American collectors, the value of Huaxia antiques is still not comparable to Picasso's works. Among the 10 most expensive paintings in the world, Picasso's works account for 4, but there is no ancient painting of Huaxia. Zhang Tiniu listened for a long time and was shocked. He couldn't help but say, she's just a naked woman. Even her skin is drooping. I really don't know what's so good about her. Tianyi was speechless and said, brother, this is called art, okay? Qin Haodong said, thank you for your help. Then he waved his hand to Zhang Tiniu. Zhang Tiniu immediately took out 2 red envelopes that he had prepared long ago and gave them to them. Tianyi said to Zhang Jiahui, Mr. Qin, we should help you. There's no need for this. Qin Haodong said, take it. I've wasted so much of your time. It's a small gift. Tianyi and Zhang Jiahui didn't stand on ceremony and directly accepted the red envelopes. In fact, when they went out for appraisal in the past, they often encountered rich people giving them red envelopes. They went out and got in the car. Zhang Jiahui took out the red envelope and pinched it. It was thin and there didn't seem to be much money in it. He said, Mr. Qin seems to be too stingy. Tianyi said, don't talk nonsense. Mr. Qin is a distinguished guest of the old master. It's good enough for him to give him a red envelope. Zhang Jiahui curled his lips and said, what are you afraid of? He can't hear you here. Rich people are so stingy. Then he tore open the red envelope and found that it was not cash, but a check with a face value of 1 million yuan. My God, he's too generous. Zhang Jiahui exclaimed loudly. If he hadn't been in the car at this time, he would have jumped up happily. Tianyi also glanced at the check in his hand. Seeing him lose his composure, he asked curiously, "How much is it?" Zhang Jiahui cried excitedly, 1 million yuan, it's 1 million yuan. I'll be rich when I go out to pick up girls in the future. Tianyi was also very happy after the surprise. In the past, they often received red envelopes from guests, most of which were thousands of yuan. It was the first time that they had met a rich man like Qin Haodong who gave them 1 million yuan. What he didn't know was that Zhang Jiahui actually took advantage of him. Qin Haodong was most grateful to him. This money was the information fee. If it hadn't been for Tianyi, Qin Haodong wouldn't have known that Sir Owen had a bronze head sculpture, let alone Sir Owen's preferences. After seeing Tianyi and Zhang Jiahui off, Qin Haodong immediately began to prepare. He was going to find Sir Owen and exchange the bronze head sculpture. He couldn't wait any longer. However, after what they had just said, he didn't want to take out all his money. If he took out all 40 paintings of Picasso, it might backfire. After thinking about it, he decided to take 10 paintings to Sir Owen first. Since Nailan Wushuang didn't like those nude sketches very much, he packed them into a canvas bag. Then he borrowed Uncle Cheng from Li Donghua and drove to Sir Owen's home. Uncle Cheng was very familiar with the roads in Hong Kong. They soon arrived at Sir Owen's home, which was an extremely luxurious manor. Unlike the manor of the Li family, the buildings here were basically European style. The whole manor was simple and magnificent. If he hadn't known that he was in Hong Kong, he would have thought that he was in an ancient castle in Europe. There were 4 tall white bodyguards standing at the gate of the manor. Uncle Cheng first went over to tell them his identity and then his purpose of coming. He wanted to see Sir Owen. The head bodyguard said, "I'm sorry, sir. If you don't have an appointment, you can't see Sir Owen, even if you are the butler of the Li family." Well, Uncle Cheng looked at Qin Haodong in embarrassment. He thought that Qin Haodong had already made an appointment with Sir Owen, but he didn't expect that Qin Haodong would suddenly come to him. It was basically difficult for a person like Sir Owen to see anyone without an appointment in advance. Qin Haodong walked to the door, handed over the wrapped scroll in his hand, and said to the head bodyguard, "Please inform me now. I want to exchange some antiques with Sir Owen." The head bodyguard said, "I'm sorry, sir. If you don't have an appointment, Sir Owen won't see you. Give this scroll to Sir Owen. He'll come out to welcome us in person after seeing it." He didn't want to waste too much time at the door, so he directly used mind manipulating. "Okay, Mr. Qin, please wait a moment." Under the surprised gazes of the other bodyguards, the head bodyguard hurried into the manor with the scroll in his hand. In a luxurious living room of the manor, Sir Owen was talking to his butler, Fred. He said with annoyance, "It's been so long. Can't we find Picasso's paintings?" Fred said respectfully, "Sir Owen, there's nothing we can do. I've already talked to more than a dozen well-known auction houses around the world. They all promise to contact us as soon as they have any news about Picasso's paintings, but there's no news yet. It's not surprising. Who would sell Picasso's paintings now? If I have them, I won't sell them." Sir Owen said, "But in a few days, my friend Cantona will come to visit me. You know, Cantona is a big collector. When he sees that I don't even have a painting of Picasso, I'll be very embarrassed." Fred spread out his hands and said helplessly, "My dear sir, I understand your feelings very well, but there's nothing I can do." At this moment, the head bodyguard hurried in with the scroll in his hand. He bowed to Sir Owen and said, "Sir, Uncle Cheng, the butler of the Li family, and a young man have come to visit you. They're at the gate of the manor now." Sir Owen said discontentedly, "Sisse, have you forgotten that I won't see anyone without an appointment?" The head bodyguard said, "Sir, Mr. Qin said that as long as I give you this scroll, you'll go out to welcome him." Sir Owen said with annoyance, "No, I'm in a bad mood now. I don't want to see anything messy unless it's a painting of Picasso." Chapter 630. Fred said, "Well, let me have a look at this painting. After all, we have the most cooperation with the Lee family's auction house. Since he was sent by the Lee family, we have to show him some respect. Sisay agreed and passed the scroll in his hand to Fred. Fred took the scroll, removed the outer packaging, and spread it on the table. When he opened it halfway, Jacqueline's naked upper body was exposed. As the butler of Sir Owen, Fred was also a knowledgeable person, especially in the field of antiques. Although he had only opened half of the painting, he had already recognized that it was Picasso's wife, Jacqueline. Suddenly, his body felt as if it had been struck by lightning. His whole body began to tremble slightly, and his movements of opening the scroll became more cautious. He opened the whole painting and saw a complete Jacqueline. After confirming that it was Picasso's painting, he shouted excitedly, "Perfect, it's really perfect." Sir Owen poured himself a glass of red wine and was sipping it slowly. After hearing Fred's words, he said with some dissatisfaction, "Dear Fred, it's just a painting. How can you lose your composure like this? There are all kinds of ancient paintings in our treasure room." "No, we really don't have any here." Fred cried excitedly, "Sir, this is Picasso's painting. Look, it's Jacqueline." After hearing Fred's words, Sir Owen immediately put down the wine glass in his hand and said with a look of disbelief, "Fred, are you kidding me? This is not what a gentleman should do." "Sir Owen, how could I joke with you? Look, this is Picasso's wife, Jacqueline." After confirming that Fred was not joking with him, Sir Owen walked over quickly. When he saw the painting in front of him, he became extremely excited. "Oh my God, did my sincerity move God? He actually sent me Picasso's painting." Sir Owen took a white glove from a servant and put it on. Then, he began to carefully examine the painting. A few minutes later, he cried excitedly, "Dear Fred, I'm sure that this is the authentic painting of Picasso. It's really perfect." Although he was not a professional appraiser, he had collected countless antiques and treasures over the years, so he had a certain level of attainment in the appraisal of ancient paintings. Fred said, "Sir, just in case, let's get appraiser Gerard here." "You're right. This is Picasso's painting. We can't be careless." Sir Owen took a deep breath to calm down and said to a servant next to him, "Invite Mr. Gerard here as soon as possible." "Yes, sir." The servant answered and quickly walked out of the living room. A few minutes later, he came in with a blond white man. He was Sir Owen's personal treasure appraiser, Gerard. Although Gerard was Owen's personal appraiser, he had a very high reputation in the field of international antique appraisal. So far, the works he had appraised had never been wrong. After walking into the living room, Gerard saw the excited Sir Owen and Fred. He asked in confusion, "Dear sir, did you find any treasure?" Sir Owen said excitedly, "Dear Gerard, come and have a look. It's Picasso's painting. This is Picasso's painting." Hearing that there was a painting of Picasso, Gerard was also excited. He quickly walked to the table, took out white gloves and a magnifying glass from his pocket, and looked at it carefully. After a full 5 minutes, Sir Owen couldn't help but ask, "Dear Gerard, tell me, is this the real Picasso?" Gerard stood up and said excitedly, "Dear sir, I can swear to God that this is definitely Picasso's masterpiece." Sir Owen cried excitedly, "Great, that's great. I finally have a painting of Picasso." Fred was still relatively calm. He said, "Dear sir, do you forget that this painting doesn't belong to you now? It belongs to Mr. Cheen, who is waiting outside the door." Sir Owen patted his forehead and cried, "God, forgive me. I let the distinguished guest wait outside the door. Dear Fred, let's go out together and invite the most distinguished guest in." Outside the manor, Uncle Cheng said to Cheen Haodong, "Mr. Cheen, Sir Owen is very distinguished. Are you sure that he will meet us after seeing the painting?" "Uncle Cheng, don't worry. I believe that Sir Owen will come out to welcome us soon." According to the information that Cheen Haodong got from Tian Yi, Sir Owen was very eager to get a painting of Picasso. He believed that he would definitely come out to welcome them after seeing his painting. While they were talking, the door suddenly opened. Sir Owen hurried out with Fred and Gerard, followed by 4 or 5 servants. Sir Owen came to Qin Haodong, put one hand on his chest, slightly bowed, and made a standard gentleman's salute. "Dear Mr. Qin, please forgive me for my neglect of you." Qin Haodong said, "Sir Owen, nice to meet you." "Dear sir, beautiful lady, please come with me." Under the welcome of Sir Owen and a group of servants, Qin Haodong and Nalan Wushuang walked into the manor together. Uncle Cheng was shocked. He was very clear about Sir Owen's status in Hong Kong. He did not understand what magic Qin Haodong had used to make him come out to welcome them in person. As the butler of the Li family, he naturally knew that it was not appropriate for him to participate in this kind of occasion, so he did not follow them into Sir Owen's manor. Instead, he returned to the car and waited. After entering the living room, Sir Owen warmly invited Qin Haodong and Nalan Wushuang to take a seat and gave each of them a glass of good red wine. Then he said with a smile, "Dear Qin, your painting is really perfect. I've always been eager to have a painting of Picasso. I want to ask how you can transfer this painting, or in your Huaxia language, it's called reluctantly giving it up." Although Sir Owen was from the empire where the sun never sets, he grew up in Hong Kong. Not only did he speak Chinese very well, but he also knew a lot about Huaxia culture. He even used idioms. Qin Haodong said, "Of course. I've long heard that Sir Owen has collected a lot of Huaxia antiques, so I want to exchange some of Picasso's paintings with you." Sir Owen said, "Mr. Qin, I'm very willing to be friends with you and exchange some of your collections. Do you have a target in mind?" Qin Haodong spread out his hands and said, "I don't know yet, because I don't know what collections Sir Owen has." According to Tian Yi, he did not directly tell him the purpose of his visit. "It doesn't matter. I can let you choose. As long as the things are suitable, we can make an exchange that satisfies both of us." Sir Owen said to Fred next to him, "Bring the catalogue of our collections and let Mr. Qin choose." "Okay, sir." Fred turned around and went out. It didn't take long before he came back with a catalogue, which recorded the collections in Sir Owen's treasure house. "Mr. Qin, please have a look." Fred politely handed the catalogue to Qin Haodong. "Thank you." Qin Haodong smiled at Fred, then opened the catalogue and quickly checked it. Sir Owen's collection was indeed very rich. There were almost thousands of pieces, including almost all the antiques from all over the world. The first part of the catalogue was European works of art. It could be seen that Sir Owen valued these collections more. However, Qin Haodong did not care about these things at all. He quickly flipped through the catalogue and found the bronze head of the 12 zodiac animals, which he had been dreaming of, in the last few pages of the catalogue. He suppressed his inner excitement and said, "Sir Owen, I was lucky enough to buy the snake head you auctioned at the auction yesterday. As a Huaxia man, I have special feelings for these bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals. I want to bring all of them back to Huaxia in my lifetime. Just now, I saw a bronze head of the 12 zodiac animals in your catalogue. I've decided to exchange this painting of Picasso for this chicken head. What do you think?" Sir Owen said, "Dear Qin, as a friend, should fulfill your wish. This bronze head of the 12 zodiac animals is a treasure of Huaxia. I also like it very much, so I'm a little reluctant to give it up." Qin Haodong smiled slightly. He knew very well that this foreigner was not reluctant to give it up at all. Just as Tian Yi had said, the antiques of Huaxia were not very important to him, which could be seen from the ranking of the bronze head of the 12 zodiac animals in the catalogue. The reason why Sir Owen said this was that he was a little dissatisfied with the price he offered. It was true. If Picasso's painting and the bronze head of the 12 zodiac animals were exchanged for Huaxia dollars, a bronze head of the 12 zodiac animals would be worth about 50 million yuan, while this painting of Picasso would be worth at most 10 million yuan. Although the exchange between collectors valued the reputation of the collection more, the difference in value should not be too big. He said, "Sir Owen, I'm very sincere. How many paintings of Picasso do you think you can give up this bronze head of the 12 zodiac animals with? 2 or 3? After he finished speaking, Sir Owen's eyes instantly lit up and he said excitedly, "Dear Qin, do you still have Mr. Picasso's paintings in your hands?" Qin Haodong smiled to show his acquiescence, but he did not say how many paintings of Picasso he still had. This was also a kind of negotiation. Of course, he would not expose his trump card in advance. Sir Owen thought for a moment, stretched out a palm and said, 5. As long as you have 5 sketches of Picasso, I'll exchange this bronze head of the 12 zodiac animals with you. Qin Haodong said, Sir Owen, 5 is too much. You have to know that this is a painting of Picasso. If you can keep it in your treasure house, it will definitely help you become a first-class collector in the world. Although he had 10 of these sketches in his hands and he could draw one in a few minutes, Sir Owen had many treasures in his hands. He did not mind exchanging for some more and taking them back to Huaxia. Chapter 631. Well, as long as you can show me Picasso's works that satisfy me, the sculpted heads of the 12 zodiacs will be yours. Sir Owen hesitated for a moment and then agreed. After all, there were still many antiques in Huaxia like this, so he did not care too much about them. Otherwise, he would not have put the snakehead sculpture up for auction. However, Picasso's paintings were unique. With his strength, he had searched the world for such a long time but found nothing. Today, someone finally came to him, so he naturally wanted to do everything possible to keep it. Qin Haodong was overjoyed and said, "That's great, my dear sir. You won't regret your decision." Sir Owen said eagerly, "Qin, where are Mr. Picasso's works? I'm very eager to see them now." Qin Haodong took the canvas bag from Nalan Wushuang's hand, opened the zipper, took out the remaining 9 drawings from it, and casually put them on the table. "Sir Owen, there are a total of 9 drawings here, all of which were created by Master Picasso. You can choose 2 that you are satisfied with." Everyone was shocked. Sir Owen, Fred, and Gerard's eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. These were Picasso's paintings, and there were 10 of them at once. Seeing that Qin Haodong was directly picking up these paintings with his hands, Fred hurriedly cried out, "Dear Mr. Qin, you can't do this. These are rare works of art. You can't directly pick them up with your hands. You should wear white gloves, otherwise, it will cause irreparable damage to them." Nalan Wushuang almost laughed out loud when she saw the foreigner stamping his feet anxiously. If Fred knew that Qin Haodong could draw one of these paintings in a minute, she wondered what he would think. But he had to play the whole show. Qin Haodong quickly said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Fred. I was a little too excited when I thought that I would soon be able to bring the sculpted heads back to Huaxia. I'll pay attention to this detail in the future." Fred did not say anything. He couldn't care less now. Together with Sir Owen and Gerard, they looked at the 9 sketches. Although these sketches were all black and white, the colors were bright and dark, and the layers were distinct. Using extremely simple strokes, they outlined a scene that would make people go crazy. After more than 10 minutes, the 3 of them finally looked at all the 9 paintings. Sir Owen said excitedly, "My God, thank God. I'm so lucky to see Master Picasso's work." Gerard said, "That's right. I was very surprised when I saw Mr. Qin take out one painting. Picasso's paintings appear in groups." Qin Haodong said, "Sir Owen, have you made up your mind? Which 2 are you going to choose?" Sir Owen said, "Dear, I like these 9 paintings very much. I really can't choose any of them. Can you exchange them with me?" Qin Haodong said with an embarrassed look, "But I also like Picasso's works, and I want to keep some for my collection." After hearing what he said, Sir Owen immediately said eagerly, "No, dear Qin, you can't do this. These 10 sketches were originally a group. They are the most perfect when they are together. If they are separated, their artistic value will be affected." Qin Haodong thought for a moment and said with a pained look, "Well, in that case, I won't separate them." "Sir Owen, how do you want to exchange them with me?" Hearing that Qin Haodong was willing to exchange with him, Sir Owen immediately smiled and said, "Dear Qin, you are my true friend. You can choose 3 more works from my collection and take them away." What do you think? Qin Haodong shook his head and said, Sir Owen, this is a group of 10 Picasso's works. They are not simply piled up together. Their artistic value and economic value will be doubled, so I think your proposal is a little stingy. Sir Owen also knew that Qin Haodong was right. If a sketch of Picasso could be sold for 10 million yuan, then a group of 10 could be sold for 200 million yuan or even more. He thought for a moment and said, Qin, how do you want to exchange them? Qin Haodong said, 7. In addition to the 3 sketches I exchanged with Sir Owen, I still have 7 paintings. I'll exchange each of them with you. Well, Sir Owen said, Dear Qin, I think you're asking too much. In your Oriental words, it's like a lion opening its big mouth. You know, every piece of my collection is of high value. For example, it took me a lot of effort to get that Van Gogh painting into my treasure house. Qin Haodong said, Don't worry, Sir Owen. I'm not interested in your Western works of art. I promise I'll only choose things that belong to the East, or things that belong to Huaxia. I believe you have a lot of such works of art, so you don't mind losing a few. Hearing that Qin Haodong would only choose things that belonged to Huaxia, Sir Owen breathed a sigh of relief and said, Well, let's do as you said. In addition to the bronze head, you can choose 7 more works of art from Huaxia. Qin Haodong said, It's a happy decision, but I have one more condition. Thinking that this group of Picasso's paintings would soon be his, Sir Owen was in a good mood. He said with a smile on his face, Dear Qin, please tell me your conditions. As long as I can do it, I will definitely satisfy you. I want to have a look at Mr. Owen's treasure house. I always choose products based on my feelings. I can't choose what I like just by looking at the names on this album. After hesitating for a moment, Sir Owen said, Well, welcome to my treasure house. If Qin Haodong only had one sketch of Picasso, he would not allow a stranger to enter his treasure room. But now that Qin Haodong had a group of 10 Picasso's works, Qin Haodong's identity and status in his heart immediately changed. Sir Owen asked the butler, Fred, to get a bunch of keys and took Qin Haodong and Naylan Wushuang to his treasure house. They walked out of the living room and opened a heavy security door not far away. After entering the door, there was nothing but a wooden staircase leading underground. Qin Haodong followed Sir Owen and walked to the basement. The walls on both sides of the staircase were decorated like the living room. They were resplendent, luxurious, and elegant. There were many murals hanging on the walls. These murals were exuding spiritual qi to some extent. Obviously, they were also valuable antiques. Soon, they walked down the stairs and entered the treasure house built by Sir Owen. The light here was very bright and everything could be seen clearly. Sir Owen did not stop. After taking Qin Haodong through a short corridor, they came to a security door made of pure steel again. Fred took out the key and opened the heavy door. A hot and dry air rushed out, making people feel as if they had come to a desert. Sir Owen said, Dear Qin, this is my treasure house. I have collected all the treasures over the years. Now they are all in front of you. Then he walked in first and turned on the lights on the wall. The originally dim room suddenly became bright. Qin Haodong was shocked by the scene in front of him. This underground treasure house was so spacious that he could not see the end at a glance. He wondered if Sir Owen had hollowed out the whole basement of his villa. How many treasures could he put in such a large treasure house? When he was about to step inside, Sir Owen said, Qin, wait a minute. I have to turn off the anti-theft system first. After that, he operated on a monitor panel at the door for a long time. Then he made a beeping sound and nodded, indicating that Qin Haodong could go in. Sir Owen had spent a lot of effort in security for this treasure house. Every corner of the treasure house was covered with infrared rays, which were as dense as a spider's web. Even a fly flying in would trigger the alarm. After getting permission, Qin Haodong and Naylan Wushuang stepped forward together. This treasure house was so big that they could not see the end at all. There were all kinds of collections everywhere they looked. He was afraid that ordinary museums did not have as many collections as he did. Moreover, Qin Haodong could feel that most of the things here were exuding more or less spiritual qi, and only a few of them were fakes. Even if these fakes were fakes, they were very clever and ordinary people could not see them at all. No wonder Sir Owen's collection had such a high reputation at the auction. Li Donghua said that Sir Owen's wealth was immeasurable. If so many antiques were auctioned, it was really hard to guess how much money they could sell for. After taking a few steps forward, Qin Haodong heard a slight motor sound. He looked in the direction of the sound and found that it was an air dryer in the corner. No wonder the air here was so dry. Basically, there was such a machine rotating every 30 or 40 meters. Sir Owen followed Qin Haodong and said, "Qin, we have to hurry. There are too many things here." Qin Haodong nodded and said, "Don't worry, Sir Owen. I only choose things based on my feelings. I'm very fast." After that, he strode in the treasure house. He did not need to look at the collections on both sides at all. He only needed to sense them with his spirit. There were too many good things in the treasure house, such as the brush washer of the Southern Song dynasty, the vase of the Northern Song dynasty, the colorful vase of the Qing dynasty, and the blue and white porcelain of the Yuan dynasty. If old Master Lu Qigong came here, he would probably go crazy immediately, but Qin Haodong did not care about these things. He wanted to choose something like the magic vanquishing wand. He was very fast. Suddenly, he stopped and looked at the storage shelf on one side. Chapter 632. He saw a sword on the storage shelf next to him. The sword was not very long. The hilt and the scabbard were only about 70 centimeters long. The most eye-catching thing was that the shape of the sword was very beautiful. The whole sword was like a mermaid. The hilt was carved wonderfully. It was the upper body of a long-haired beauty, and the scabbard was the lower body of the mermaid. It was carved with beautiful patterns and inlaid with several red gems. Qin Haodong reached out and took the dagger in his hand. There were 3 traditional Chinese characters engraved on the hilt: Beauty Thorn. Ordinary people would definitely regard this sword as a vase sword, but Qin Haodong felt strong spiritual qi and murderous intent from the sword. It was certain that this sword was not only beautiful but also could kill people. He held the hilt and gently pulled it out. The body of the beauty thorn was exposed in the air, and a strong murderous intent came to his face. "Good, it's a good sword," Qin Haodong praised. In terms of the quality of the sword, this beauty thorn was hundreds of times better than the butterfly sword at the auction. It was not inferior to the Dujijiri Yasutsuna in Yagi Yukaim's hand. Even its appearance was more elegant and beautiful than the butterfly sword. Sir Owen and Fred had been following him. They were quite surprised to see that Qin Haodong was just walking around in the treasure room and did not check any of the collections. At this time, he finally took a sword. They stepped forward and asked, "Mr. Qin, do you like this sword?" "It's really beautiful." Qin Haodong nodded and said, "That's it. I'll choose 6 more." "Okay, no problem." Sir Owen readily agreed without any distress. He was just an ordinary person and could not see the value of the beauty thorn at all. If it were other supreme power experts, they would definitely regard this sword as a treasure. At this time, Nailan Wushuang, who was looking at antiques, also rushed over. When she saw the beauty thorn in Qin Haodong's hand, she immediately exclaimed, "What a beautiful sword." Qin Haodong gave the beauty thorn to her and said, "It's a gift for you." "Great, such a beautiful sword. I like it so much." Nailan Wushuang immediately took it happily. After that, Qin Haodong walked around the treasure room again. Although the treasure room was very large, he had seen the whole place in less than an hour. Unfortunately, apart from the beauty thorn, there was nothing else that could move him. There wasn't even a godly weapon like the demon vanquishing staff. However, when he thought about it, it made sense. Finding a divine artifact required luck. If it was everywhere, it wouldn't be called a divine artifact. Sir Owen came over and asked nervously, "Dear Qin, is there nothing you like here?" He was afraid that Qin Haodong would take back those paintings if he couldn't find something satisfactory. Qin Haodong seemed to have read his mind. He smiled and said, "Sir Owen, don't worry. I'm a man of integrity. Since I've agreed to exchange with you, I won't go back on my word. But there's really nothing I like here, so I'll leave the rest to my girlfriend." After that, he asked Nalan Wushuang to choose the collection. Since seeing Qin Haodong's magical skill of making ancient paintings, Nalan Wushuang had no interest in the paintings here. She chose 2 pieces of blue and white porcelain from the Yuan dynasty, 2 pieces of porcelain from the Song dynasty, and 2 vases from the Qing dynasty. That was the end of the selection. These things were all fine works. If they were taken to the auction, they could be sold for at least 100 million yuan. They left the treasure room and returned to the living room. The porcelain that Nalan Wushuang chose was sent back to the Li family by Dr. Owen. However, Qin Haodong insisted on taking the chicken head with him. This thing was more important than anything else to him now. If something went wrong on the way, he would not be able to make up for it no matter what. If it weren't for so many people watching, he would have put it into the storage ring. Nalan Wushuang also liked the beauty thorn so much that she took it with her. The exchange was completed. Dr. Owen was very excited. He asked Fred to open a bottle of champagne that he had kept for many years and poured a glass for Qin Haodong and Nalan Wushuang. He said excitedly, "Dear Qin, cheers to our successful cooperation." Qin Haodong clinked glasses with him and then drank up the champagne in the glass. Putting down the glass, he said to Sir Owen, "Sir, I want to ask you for help." "Dear Qin, what can I do for you?" "We're friends now." Qin Haodong said, "Sir Owen, I know you have a lot of friends in the storage industry. I still have some paintings of Picasso. I don't want to exchange for anything else. I just want to exchange for the 12 animal carvings of Huaxia. Can you help me publicize it and let the collectors who have the 12 animal carvings exchange with me? Or you can exchange their carvings for Picasso's paintings." "What? You still have Picasso's paintings?" Sir Owen's eyes widened. He was already very surprised by Picasso's sketches. He did not expect that this Huaxia man still had more. If it weren't for the fact that they were of different races, he would really think that Qin Haodong was Picasso's illegitimate son. Otherwise, how could he have so many paintings of Picasso? Qin Haodong said, "Yes, I still have some, but this time I won't exchange for anything else. I only want the 12 animal carvings." He knew that Sir Owen was very influential in the world of collectors, so he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to collect as many bronze heads as possible. Sir Owen asked, "Qin, can you tell me how many paintings of Picasso you have?" Qin Haodong said, "Sir, to tell you the truth, I have 3 sets of Picasso's sketches. Today, I want to exchange 1 set with you. In addition, I have a children's album and a still life album. Each set has 10 sketches and 10 oil paintings of Picasso." Fred said in disbelief, "You mean that you still have 30 paintings of Picasso?" Qin Haodong nodded with a smile, "Yes." Sir Owen was stunned for a moment and then he came to his senses. He felt that he was going crazy. He had been looking for a painting of Picasso for years, but he could not find it. Now, there were so many paintings of Picasso. He no longer cared about maintaining his gentlemanly demeanor. He shouted excitedly, "Qin, you must be Picasso's illegitimate son. That must be it." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Don't make such a joke. I'm a pure Huaxia man." After calming down, Sir Owen said, "I do know a lot of big shots in the collection industry. They all have a lot of collections. Maybe they have the 12 animal carvings. But I want to ask, how do you want to exchange with them? If it's not tempting, I'm afraid they won't take it out." Qin Haodong said, "Well, you can help me advertise a set of Picasso's paintings in exchange for a bronze head sculpture of the 12 animal carvings. Do you think this price is tempting enough?" "Yes, it's really tempting." Sir Owen was excited again. "I regret it now. Why did I take the snake head sculpture of the 12 animal carvings to the auction? It would have been better if I had kept it and exchanged it with you for Picasso's paintings. He did not regret the exchange just now. Although the chicken head sculpture of the 12 animal carvings was only exchanged for 3 paintings of Picasso, it was voluntary on both sides. This was the principle of the antique industry. He said again, "Chin, can you use Picasso's paintings to exchange for some other things in my treasure house? This time, I can let you choose 2 treasures of Huaxia for 1 painting." Qin Haodong spread out his hands and said, "Sir, there are indeed a lot of good things in your treasure house, but unfortunately, I'm not interested in them. All I want is the bronze head sculpture of the 12 animal carvings. If you can exchange the things in your treasure house with others and then exchange them for my paintings." "That's a pity," Sir Owen said, "but don't worry, I will definitely spread the news for you. Soon, someone will come to your door to exchange with you." "Thank you, sir. Then we won't bother you anymore." After saying goodbye to Sir Owen, Qin Haodong and Nalan Wushuang hurried back to the Li family's villa. When they arrived home, Sir Owen had already sent someone to deliver the collection. Qin Haodong did not care much about these things and put them into the storage ring. After dealing with everything, he made a simple defensive formation in the room and took out the chicken head sculpture. He undid the seal outside and took out the upper-level spirit stone hidden inside. He asked Nalan Wushuang to guard him and then began to absorb the upper-level spirit stone to advance to the late stage of the gold core realm. This time was different from last time. Nalan Wushuang was already at the 6th level of the supreme power realm, so it was enough for her to guard him. Holding the upper-level spirit stone in his palm, Qin Haodong began to operate it slowly. The genuine qi of everlasting green would absorb the spiritual qi emitted by the spirit stone. Nalan Wushuang stood beside him with the beauty thorn in her hand and carefully guarded him. Time passed by minute by minute. An hour later, with a crisp sound, the upper-level spirit stone completely turned into powder. Qin Haodong slowly opened his eyes, but there was a flash of disappointment on his face. Nalan Wushuang asked, "How is it? Have you broken through?" Qin Haodong shook his head. Compared with before, his gold core was a little more solid and round, but there was still a long way to go before he reached the late stage of the gold core realm. It seemed that if he wanted to break through to the late stage of the gold core realm after he reached the middle stage, the spiritual qi of 1 upper-level spirit stone was not enough. He sighed. The higher his cultivation was, the more spiritual qi he needed. It was not easy to solve this problem on Earth where spiritual qi was scarce. At present, he could only rely on the upper-level spirit stone in the bronze head sculpture. He said, "Now 1 upper-level spirit stone is not enough for me to break through. I need at least 1 more. Now the most important thing is to find another bronze head sculpture." Nalan Wushuang said, "I don't know if Sir Owen helped us spread the news. Is it possible for him to hide the news and then find the bronze head sculpture himself to exchange for the paintings in your hand?" Chapter 633. Qin Haodong said, "Although Sir Owen likes Picasso's paintings very much, his eyes are very clear and he would not do such a dirty thing. Moreover, this kind of thing can't be hidden even if he wants to. We will soon receive feedback on whether he has spread the news or not." While they were talking, Qin Haodong's cell phone on the bedside rang. He picked up the phone and saw that it was Tianyi. When the phone was connected, Tianyi said apologetically, "Mr. Qin, I'm sorry to disturb your rest so late." Qin Haodong asked, "It doesn't matter. Manager Tian, what can I do for you?" Tianyi said excitedly, "Mr. Qin, Sir Owen has just spread the news that you have 30 paintings of Picasso to the entire collection world. Do you really have so many works of Picasso?" He was shocked when he first heard the news. He thought that it was already amazing that Qin Haodong had 4 paintings in his hands. He did not expect that he had so many works of Picasso. Qin Haodong did not hide it from Tianyi. "It's true. I want to exchange them for the sculpted heads of the 12 zodiac animals." Tianyi said, "Mr. Qin, it's really not cost-effective to exchange a set of 10 paintings of Picasso for a sculpted head of the 12 zodiac animals. I think you should collect all these paintings. They are more valuable. Qin Haodong said, it's my wish to bring the sculpted heads of the 12 zodiac animals back to Huaxia. Although Picasso's paintings are precious, they do not belong to Huaxia. Well, Mr. Qin, I really admire your character. Qin Haodong said, Manager Tian, you didn't call me so late just to tell me this, did you? Of course not. Tian Yi said, you may not know that the news that you have 30 paintings of Picasso has caused a strong earthquake in the collection world. Many people know about it. Qin Haodong said, that's a good thing. That's what I want. Only in this way can those people who have hidden the sculpted heads of the 12 zodiac animals take them out and exchange them with me. Tian Yi said, you don't know much about the collection world. It's not as simple as you think. After the news spreads, those big collectors will have 3 reactions. What 3 reactions? Qin Haodong asked with interest. The first possibility is that, as you expected, the collectors who have the sculpted heads of the 12 zodiac animals will immediately come to negotiate with you and exchange the products in your hands. The second reaction is that those who don't have the sculpted heads of the 12 zodiac animals but still want to get their hands on Picasso's works will try their best to find the sculpted heads of the 12 zodiac animals and then exchange them with you. Speaking of this, Tian Yi paused and continued, the first 2 are good. The most important is the third one. Some collectors who are eager to get Picasso's works will hire international antique thieves to steal the works in your hands. So I want to remind you that you must take good care of the Picasso painting in your hands, otherwise it will be easy to lose it. Thank you for your reminder. Qin Haodong knew that Tian Yi meant well, so he thanked him and said, but don't worry, it's not that easy to steal from me. Seeing that Qin Haodong didn't care much, Tian Yi said nervously, Mr. Qin, I know you are a capable man, but you don't know how powerful those antique thieves are. In this society, there is a group of people who specialize in stealing antiques. Even the ancient paintings of the Louvre have been stolen by them. How powerful are these people, so you must be careful. These 30 paintings of Picasso are worth more than billions of yuan. This will definitely make these antique thieves completely crazy. I believe it won't be long before they come to Hong Kong. I see. Thank you for your reminder. Qin Haodong thanked him again and then hung up. He didn't care much about Tian Yi's reminder. First of all, there were 2 6th-level Supreme Power Masters here, and Zhang Tiniu and the others were guarding outside. Ordinary thieves would definitely not be able to get in. Second, he didn't care much about these paintings. They had been painted in a few hours. Even if they were lost, he wouldn't feel bad. At most, he would just paint some more. Nailan Wushuang looked at the paintings piled up next to her and said, Haodong, these things are so valuable. Why don't you do any business in the future? Just paint and sell them. No wonder she sighed like this. The paintings painted in just a few hours could be sold for billions of yuan. There was probably no more profitable business in the world than this. Qin Haodong shook his head and said, the real is the real, and the fake is fake. I painted these paintings in exchange for the bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals. These things were originally stolen from our country, so I don't feel any burden in my heart. If I really sell the fake paintings, it will be a lie. It will leave obstacles in my heart. In the future, when I go through heaven's tribulation, it will lead to inner demons. The loss outweighs the gain. Nailan Wushuang nodded. She just said it casually and didn't care too much. She stepped forward and hugged Qin Haodong's neck and said, it's a pity. I thought that after you break through to the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm, you would help me improve my cultivation. This feeling of reaping without sowing is really good. Although I can't improve my cultivation, it's good to consolidate it. Qin Haodong picked her up and walked to the big bed. The next day, after a night of double cultivation, both of them were in high spirits. After breakfast, Nailan Wushuang asked, what are we going to do today? Qin Haodong said, I guess those collectors who want to exchange with us will have to wait for a while. Let's take advantage of this time to go to Divine Dragon Island and have a look. He struck out another incantation gesture, and the formation was closed. The island was once again clear and boundless. Nalan Wushuang cried, "Wow, it's amazing. I want to learn it too." "Forget it. It's not a matter of a day or two to learn the formation." Qin Haodong took her to the yacht and said, "Let's go back. Maybe the person who wants to exchange the 12 animal heads with us will come soon." Soon they returned to the dock, got in the car and rushed to the Li's villa. What Qin Haodong didn't know was that shortly after they left, another boat was heading for the Divine Dragon Island. After returning to the Li's house and getting out of the car, Qin Haodong had a vague feeling that something was wrong, as if someone had been here. He asked Zhang Tiniu, who was guarding in front of the room, "Did anything happen while I was away?" Zhang Tiniu said, "Boss, nothing happened. Everything is normal. Be careful these days. It's estimated that there will be some thieves visiting." Then Qin Haodong took Nalan Wushuang back to the room. After entering the door, he immediately found that the toilet paper was gone. It was obvious that someone had visited here. He went to remove the illusion of the alarm clock. The paintings of Picasso were as good as before, lying there quietly. Nalan Wushuang exclaimed, "These antique thieves are really powerful. They could come to our room in broad daylight without disturbing Zhang Tiniu and the others. Fortunately, you left something behind before you left, or these paintings would have been stolen by them." Qin Haodong nodded and said, "It seems that we really have to be careful with these people. Although these paintings are all painted by him, if the news of them being stolen gets out, it will affect others who come to trade for the 12 animal heads." Suddenly, he laughed again and said, "I wonder how the thief will feel when he suddenly finds out that what he has stolen is just a roll of toilet paper." Chapter 634. In a park in Hong Kong, a blonde woman threw a ball of toilet paper on the ground. "Damn it. How could this be? That Huaxia man must be playing with me." The blonde woman cursed as she walked back. "There's nothing I can't take away. Those paintings of Picasso must belong to me." After being visited by the antique thief once, Qin Haodong became cautious. After that, he and Nalan Wushuang never left the room. Even their meals were sent to the room. As time went by, everything was calm. Although several groups of thieves had visited, they were stopped by Zhang Tiniu and the others. They were directly caught and handed over to the police. Qin Haodong was sure that the thief who stole the toilet paper was not among those who were caught. He believed that he would come back. In the deep night, everything was in silence. Only Zhang Tiniu and the other two people were still vigilantly looking around. Qin Haodong and Nalan Wushuang went back to the bedroom to sleep. In the living room, a hole suddenly appeared on the wall silently. The hole was not too big, equivalent to the size of an adult's fist. However, a black shadow slowly squeezed in from it. The black shadow fell on the floor of the living room without any sound. When she slowly stood up, it was a person. Judging from her figure, she was a very plump woman. Qin Haodong really didn't know how she got in through such a small hole. The woman was dressed in black, and her face was covered by a black mask. She was like a nimble black cat, walking without any signs of anger. She looked around vigilantly, and after confirming that it was safe, she slowly walked towards the paintings of Picasso. Holding the paintings in her hand, she didn't hurry to leave. Instead, she carefully checked them one by one. After confirming that there were no mistakes, she rolled them into a scroll and held them in her arms. When the woman was about to leave, the light in the living room suddenly turned on and a light voice sounded. "What's wrong? The toilet paper in the morning has been used up so quickly. Are you on your period?" The woman was shocked. She turned around and saw Qin Haodong in pajamas and the sexy Nalan Wushuang standing lazily at the door of the bedroom, looking at her with a playful face. Then, she found that the painting in her arms had turned into a pile of toilet paper again. The woman did not have the time to speak. She turned around and was about to escape, but she was shocked to find that the room had changed greatly. She was surrounded by walls. Not only had the small hole she had dug disappeared, but the original window had also disappeared. In other words, she was completely locked in here. Impossible, this must be fake, it's a trick. As one of the top thieves in the world, she had countless experiences in stealing. Of course, the woman did not believe that the window could disappear into thin air. It must have been a trick. In reality, the window was still there. Thinking of this, she fiercely slammed into the direction of the window according to the direction she observed when she came in. According to her plan, she would definitely be able to break open the window and escape quickly. Qin Haodong still had a playful smile on his face. He didn't stop them and just watched them quietly. The woman crashed into it like a gust of wind. With a loud bang and a scream, she fell to the ground. It was indeed a wall. Qin Haodong smiled and said, "What are you doing? Although your yoga is good and it can be said that you have reached the basic realm, it is still not enough for you to break through the wall." The illusion he had set up was not that simple. While creating the illusion, it also changed people's sense of direction. That was to say, the woman just hit the real wall instead of the window. The woman was confused. She got up from the ground. Before she could see clearly what was in front of her, she felt that her face had become clear and her mask had been pulled off by Qin Haodong. After seeing the woman's appearance, Qin Haodong was also slightly stunned. He was surprised that the thief was a woman, and he did not expect that she was so beautiful. In terms of appearance, she was no less beautiful than Alice, the president of the World Medical Association. "You! How dare you tear off my mask? You rogue!" Not only could the woman speak Wuxia language, but she could also use the word rogue very accurately. Qin Haodong was speechless. This woman came to his house to steal things, but she even accused him of being a rogue. He glanced at the woman and said, "You said I was a rogue. Then what are you doing? You came to my house and asked me to be a rogue?" The woman's expression froze, and then she said in a tough tone, "There are good things in your house. I'm a thief, so it's normal for me to steal them. Damn it, this is the first time I've seen someone like you. You're not only unreasonable but also strong." Qin Haodong stared at the woman and said, "According to your logic, you're beautiful and I'm a normal man, so it's normal for me to be a rogue and take advantage of you." The woman's face tightened. "How dare you?" Qin Haodong laughed and said, "Your stealing skills are really brilliant. You came to my place without anyone knowing. But because of this, even if I kill you, no one will know, let alone molest you. Why don't you tell me that I dare not do it?" "You." The woman suddenly saw Nalan Wushuang next to her. "Your wife is here, so you don't dare." "It's not that I don't dare, but I don't want to. You're too ugly. I'm not interested in you." Qin Haodong said to Nalan Wushuang, "Honey, I'll leave this woman to you. Don't let her run away." "Okay." Nalan Wushuang agreed and walked toward the woman. The woman's eyes flashed with sly pride. Suddenly, she rushed toward Nalan Wushuang, grabbed her neck with one arm, and pulled out a shiny dagger with the other. She had already seen that the young man in front of her could not be provoked at all. She could only escape from here by taking this woman as a hostage. But she had never expected that Nalan Wushuang was Qin Haodong's partner. They were both masters at the 6th level of the Supreme Power Realm. How could a little thief like her afford to provoke them? Before she could figure out what was going on, she suddenly fell to the ground. The dagger also flew out, and then Nalan Wushuang stepped on it fiercely. She wanted to perform her favorite yoga, but found that there was an invisible force coming from Nalan Wushuang's foot, which locked her body tightly. There was no room for resistance at all. Qin Haodong squatted down, looked at her playfully and said, "Little girl, you still want to play hostage-taking? You're too weak." The woman had never been treated like this since she was a child. She cried out in annoyance, "Let me go now, or I won't let you go. You're quite arrogant." Qin Haodong said, don't forget that you're just a thief now, and a stupid one at that. You have no right to be proud at all. The woman cried angrily, I'm not a stupid thief. I'm Shadowless Thief. Shadowless Thief? It sounds quite domineering, but it's just a name. You've stolen toilet paper from me twice, and you still have the nerve to call yourself a thief? The woman cried, it was an accident. Let me go if you have the ability. We can start over. Qin Haodong said, I don't have time to play with you. If you want me to let you go, I can let you go as long as you give me 1 billion yuan as ransom. The woman cried angrily, 1 billion yuan? Are you going to rob me? Aren't you called Shadowless Thief? It seems that you've stolen a lot of good things over the years. 1 billion yuan should not be a big number for you. Are you willing to give up your money? Speaking of this, Qin Haodong's face turned cold. I'll only give you 10 seconds to think about it. If you don't pay, I'll destroy your yoga skills and make you a useless person. How dare you? Although she sounded tough, there was still a flash of panic in the woman's eyes. 10. 9. 8. 7. Qin Haodong began the countdown. The woman hurriedly cried, I have no money, I really have no money. How is that possible? Your stealing skills are really good. You can avoid our guards outside, so you can be regarded as a high-level thief. How can you have no money? I think you're willing to give up your money. 3. 2. 1. Qin Haodong's face turned cold when he counted to the end. He originally thought that the thief was a woman and wanted to give her a chance, but he didn't expect that she was a miser. He shouted to Nalan Wushuang, do it. Destroy her dantian and break her limbs. Before Nalan Wushuang could do anything, the woman completely panicked and hurriedly cried, you can't do this. I tell you, my father is Matthias, the god of darkness. If you dare to touch a finger of mine, none of you will live. Matthias, the god of darkness? Haven't you heard of him? Qin Haodong said coldly, I'll give you one last chance. If you can't pay 1 billion yuan, I'll destroy your cultivation now. The woman cried, my father is the god of darkness, the controller of the deep web. If you touch me, you can't escape even if you hide to the ends of the earth. Wait a minute. Hearing the two words, deep web, Qin Haodong's expression changed. He had never heard of the god of darkness, but the deep web was well known. Saber and Hu Shaoxian had both told him about the deep web. The deep web not only controlled countless killers, but also had a powerful information network. It was said that there was nothing in the world that they couldn't find. He had been trying to find the controller behind the deep web for a long time, but there had been no news. He did not expect that the woman would mention the deep web. He raised his hand to seal more than a dozen acupoints of the woman, lifted her from the ground, threw her on the sofa, and directly asked with mind manipulating, what's your name? Is your father really the controller of the deep web? The woman said, yes, my name is Donnie Randall. My father is Matthias, and the whole deep web is under his control. But in 3 days, when I'm 20 years old, he will hand over the entire deep web to me. Qin Haodong asked, since you're Matthias's daughter and the heir of the deep web, why do you want to be a thief? Donnie Randall said, my ambition since I was a child was to kill the rich and help the poor. My father also promised me that I could do whatever I wanted before I was 20 years old. I wanted to be the best antique thief. Because the people who owned antiques were all rich, I stole their treasures and sold them. All the money I got was donated to the poor. Chapter 635. Qin Haodong and Nalan Wushuang looked at each other and saw the astonishment in each other's eyes. They didn't expect that they would catch a future master of the deep web. Moreover, they didn't expect that there were people who robbed the rich to help the poor in today's society. This kind of thing that could only be seen in TV dramas was happening in front of them now. After confirming that the information was correct, Qin Haodong removed the mind manipulating. He thought for a moment and said to Donnie Randall, no matter who you are, you should pay the price for stealing from me. But for the sake of your chivalry, I won't ask for the ransom of 1 billion yuan, and I won't destroy your cultivation. Donnie Randall looked happy and breathed a sigh of relief. She had clearly felt that this young man was definitely not joking with her. But at this moment, Qin Haodong continued, but you have to promise me 2 things. First, your deep web can't do anything that will harm my interests. Second, as long as I ask for help, your deep web must help me. The hidden power behind the deep web was so great that it was impossible for him not to be tempted. As long as the deep web was willing to help him, he would almost have a powerful intelligence system, even more powerful than the intelligence system of some countries. Well, I promise you. Donnie Randall agreed without hesitation. In her mind, she agreed to keep her cultivation first. It was up to her whether she wanted to do it or not. As long as she escaped today, this young Huaxia man would not be able to catch her again. That's good. Qin Haodong seemed to see through her thoughts, and a strange smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He took a piece of yellow paper from the table and cut it into the shape of a paper man quickly. Then he took a pen next to him and drew a few strange symbols on the paper. Then he grabbed Donnie Randall's right hand, pierced her index finger with a fruit knife, and squeezed a drop of blood onto the paper man. Donnie Randall's acupoints were sealed, so she couldn't move at all. She cried in horror, "What are you going to do? Don't be nervous. I'm just making a promise to you." As he spoke, the drop of blood fell on the paper man and disappeared strangely. Done. Qin Haodong raised his hand and unsealed Donnie Randall's acupoints. Then he raised the little paper man in his hand and said, "This is called the paper puppet technique in Huaxia. I can control your life and death with this paper man. However, you don't have to be nervous. As long as you keep your promise, I won't do anything to you." Donnie Randall's face was full of astonishment. Obviously, she didn't quite understand what Qin Haodong said and didn't believe him. "Looks like I'll have to demonstrate it to you on the spot." Qin Haodong raised his hand and slapped the paper man's butt. Ah! Donnie Randall suddenly let out a scream. She felt as if someone had slapped her butt, and a burning sensation that she had never felt before filled her brain. She turned around to make sure that there was no one else in the room. "You don't need to look for it. It's me." As if to verify the authenticity of his words, Qin Haodong slapped the paper man's butt again. Donnie Randall really believed him now. Qin Haodong slapped the paper man as if he had slapped her. That was to say, if he killed the paper man now, he would kill himself. A look of fear flashed through her eyes. What kind of magic is this? It's so scary. What do you think? Do you believe me now? But don't worry. As long as you keep your promise, I'll keep my promise and won't hurt you. This paper man won't even exist. Donnie Randall suddenly came to her senses and said angrily, "Why did you slap my butt? Don't you know that a girl's butt can't be touched?" Qin Haodong smiled at her and did not speak. Instead, he turned his eyes to the paper man's chest in his hand. Donnie Randall seemed to realize something. She cried nervously, "Please, don't touch it." If Qin Haodong touched the paper man's chest, she would really want to die. "Don't worry. From now on, as long as you keep your promise, I won't take this paper man out," Qin Haodong said as he put the paper man into his pocket. Then, he took out a black pill and gave it to Donnie Randall. "This is an elixir I refined. It'll be of great benefit to you if you take it. It's my compensation for slapping your butt and also a reward for you for helping the poor." "Could this be poison?" Donnie Randall said warily. "If I wanted to kill you, I could just move my fingers. Why would I waste the elixir?" Qin Haodong said, "It's called the Big Strengthening Elixir. The medicinal materials are very expensive. It's definitely a good thing." Donnie Randall thought for a moment and realized that the young man in front of her had no need to poison her. So, she took the pill and threw it into her mouth. Soon, she felt that all the blood in her body was boiling. Her strength was getting stronger and stronger. Her yoga, which had not been improved for a long time, suddenly broke through the threshold and reached a new level. The Huaxia man did not lie to her. The big strengthening elixir was indeed a good thing. How is it? Does it feel good? Qin Haodong said as he threw a small jade bottle to her. There are 3 big strengthening elixirs in it. They're for you. He knew that if he wanted to control people's hearts, he had to use both carrot and stick. If he blindly suppressed them, they would have a rebellious mentality and stab him sooner or later. Moreover, although this girl was a thief, she had always robbed the rich to help the poor and did not keep much money for herself. He admired her very much, so he gave her 4 big strengthening elixirs in a row. Thank you. Donnie Randall realized the value of these elixirs. They were definitely good stuff. Bailey had always been worried that her cultivation was not enough to master the power of the deep web. With these elixirs, her cultivation would be greatly improved and her father would look up to her. Qin Haodong said, to show my sincerity, can you help me find out information about a person? No problem. At this time, Donnie Randall had been completely convinced by Qin Haodong's means. She took out a palm-sized microcomputer from her pocket and said, tell me, who do you want to find out? There is no one on this earth that our deep web can't find. As long as you tell me his name, I promise I'll find out what he ate in the morning. Qin Zongheng. Qin Haodong said, help me find out where this person is now. Wait a minute. It'll be done soon. After saying that, Donnie Randall typed Qin Zongheng's name on the microcomputer. But soon she was shocked because there was no information on the screen. Have you found it? Qin Haodong asked nervously. It seemed that he still cared a lot about his father whom he had never met. This person's information disappeared 21 years ago and there was no information about him after that. Donnie Randall looked embarrassed. She had boasted just now, but she did not expect that she could not find any information about this person. On the contrary, Qin Haodong was very calm. If it was so easy to find his father's information, Chu Xianyue would not have been looking for him for so many years. He asked, generally speaking, under what circumstances can the deep web not find any information? Donnie Randall said, as long as there is a person, the deep web can find him, unless he is hiding in the deep mountains or swamps or is dead. In this case, we can't find him. Qin Haodong nodded. He had an intuition that Qin Zongheng was not dead, so he was living in seclusion in a corner. He raised his hand to remove the illusion in the room and said, okay, you can go now. Donnie Randall did not leave directly. She said, now many people know that you have Picasso's paintings. In addition to me, Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Cracker have also come to Hong Kong. Their purpose is to get your paintings. Although I admire your ability, they are also very powerful. You'd better be careful. Qin Haodong smiled and said, aren't you the shadowless thief? Could it be that their thieving skills are better than yours? Donnie Randall said, there is a ranking among us antique thieves. I'm only ranked 3rd. The first one is Cracker, and the second one is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I'm not as good as them. Qin Haodong said, thank you for reminding me, but it's not so easy to steal my things. Okay, I'm leaving. Goodbye. No, I'll never see you again. After saying that, Donnie Randall jumped out of the window and disappeared. I didn't expect to have such a big harvest tonight. Qin Haodong was in a very good mood. With the help of the deep web, his strength had improved imperceptibly. But after he finished speaking, his expression suddenly changed, because the stack of Picasso's paintings on the table had disappeared. It had only been 2 or 3 minutes since the illusion was removed, but all the paintings had disappeared. It could be seen that the thief's stealing skills were terrible. It was definitely not Donnie Randall who did it. It must be Cracker or Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Naylan Wushuang said, what should we do? It's not so easy to steal my paintings. These paintings are marked with divine sense. He can't run away. After saying that, he took Naylan Wushuang's hand and flew out of the window like 2 big birds, chasing in the direction of the divine sense mark. After chasing for about 400 or 500 meters, two black figures appeared in their sight. From their backs, it could be seen that they were a man and a woman. According to Donnie Randall, they should be Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Mr. and Mrs. Smith did not expect that Chin Haodong could catch up with them so quickly, so they were not too anxious and ran at a moderate pace. At this moment, two figures suddenly appeared in front of them, blocking their way. Chin Haodong looked at them and said, "Mr. and Mrs. Smith, right? You're good at stealing. You're the first person who can steal a painting under my nose." Chapter 636. Mr. and Mrs. Smith were white men in their 40s. The man was named Smith, and the woman was named Kasha. They were famous in the world of antique thieves. Although everyone ranked them second, they were not convinced. This was because, like the heaven-pilfering divine legs, they had yet to have a record of failure. With the same record, there was no reason to rank them behind the heaven-pilfering divine legs. It had to be said that Mr. and Mrs. Smith were very experienced in stealing cultural relics. In fact, they had arrived at the Lee family's villa a long time ago, but they were not in a hurry to take action. They had been waiting outside for an opportunity. In the end, they took advantage of Chin Haodong's negligence and took away all the paintings. Originally, they were rejoicing over their achievements. They didn't expect Chin Haodong to catch up so quickly. The two of them looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. They didn't know where the flaw was. At this time, Mr. Smith's expression changed and he said to Chin Haodong, "Did you do something to these paintings?" When they took action just now, they were absolutely invisible. The reason why they were caught up so quickly must be that the other party had left a mark on the paintings. Chin Haodong smiled and said, "The clothes you are wearing are good. Is it a high-tech product?" Although he was talking to Donnie Randall just now, his spirit had been covering the whole room. Generally speaking, there was no reason for the paintings to be stolen. Mr. and Mrs. Smith could take away the paintings without alerting him, so they must have something special. Now he found that if he closed his eyes, his spirit could not feel the existence of the two people. The problem was their clothes. He was right. Although the Smiths were two very good thieves before, they were far from their current level. 90% of the credit for their success was the two clothes they were wearing. This was the latest high-tech product of Area 51 of M country. After wearing it, it could have a strong defense and stealth function. It could shield people from radar detection. However, because of the high cost, it could not be popularized at all. Only two experimental products were made. By chance, the Smiths learned this secret and stole the two experimental products. Since then, they had become more and more famous and eventually became the top antique thieves. Mr. Smith said, "You are indeed very powerful, but you can't stop us. Hurry up and get out of the way, so as not to hurt our friendship." Chin Haodong said, "Put down my paintings and pay a ransom of 1 billion yuan each. Then I can let you go." Although Kasha was in her 40s, she was still a charming young woman. A bright smile appeared on her face and she said, "Huaxia man, after you get out of the way, we promise not to steal your things again." Chin Haodong said with a smile, "If you don't pay the ransom of 2 billion yuan, there will be no future." Mr. Smith frowned and said, "So there is no negotiation?" Suddenly, he and Kasha moved together. They had a tacit understanding. Smith rushed to Chin Haodong and Kasha rushed to Nalan Wushuang. Smith threw a punch at Chin Haodong's face. He was not a warrior, but he had practiced Western fighting skills. However, the gloves on his hands had a very long history. It was also a high-tech product. After wearing it, it would increase a person's attack power by 100 times. In the past, they had also met opponents, but all of their bones had been shattered by a single punch from him. In the face of his attack, Chin Haodong sneered and also punched. With a muffled bang, the two fists collided. Smith was sent flying backwards like a fly that had been swatted away. His gloves were indeed powerful, but unfortunately, his cultivation was too weak to be compared with Chin Haodong's. Moreover, he was not a warrior. His bones could not bear such a huge force. When the two fists collided, his arm was almost shattered. Before Smith landed on the ground, he felt his neck tighten. A large hand had already gripped his neck. Qin Haodong said with a smile, "You are really well dressed to be able to take my punch." After that, he reached out and pulled off both of Smith's gloves, followed by his clothes. In the blink of an eye, the antique thief, who ranked second in the world, became a big white sheep, with only underwear left on his body. On the other side, while the two women were fighting, Kasia raised her hand. With a click, a spring sounded and a sleeve dart quickly shot toward Nalan Wushuang's chest. The speed of this sleeve dart was indeed fast enough. If it had been before, it could have posed a little threat to Nalan Wushuang, but now Nalan Wushuang was already a level 6 Supreme Power Master. This level of attack was not much different from a child's game. She reached out and held the sleeve dart in her palm. Kasia was shocked, but she did not stop at all. She raised her leg and shot another arrow. Nalan Wushuang shook her wrist and the arrow in her hand shot out. The two arrows collided with each other and fell to the ground with a clatter. Kasia raised her hand and tore off the headband on her head. Then, she used a lion's head shake and countless silver needles shot out from her hair. There were too many silver needles. There were hundreds of them. Nalan Wushuang could not dodge them at all. Seeing that these silver needles had finally hit Nalan Wushuang's body, Kasia breathed a sigh of relief. Then, her smile froze. Although the silver needles had hit her, Nalan Wushuang's protective genuine qi was too strong. This level of attack could not shake it at all. All the silver needles fell to the ground. Now it's my turn. Nalan Wushuang did not have the slightest bit of tenderness for the fairer sex. She lifted her leg and kicked Kasia to the ground. Then, she did the same and quickly took off her coat. "Devil, let me go. You can't do this." Although Kasia resisted desperately, her strength could not do anything in front of Nalan Wushuang. In the end, there was only a set of underwear left, which was thrown together with Smith. "Let us go and return this set of clothes to me. I can give you 2 billion yuan as ransom." Seeing that he had become a captive, Smith put down his pride and began to talk to Qin Haodong. "Your set of clothes is not bad. I'll keep it." Of course, he would not easily return a good thing that could avoid the detection of the spirit. Qin Haodong smiled at him and said, "And you have no chance to pay the money now." Feeling the killing intent in Qin Haodong's smile, Smith suddenly became nervous and asked, "What do you mean?" "The atmosphere was very friendly just now, so we could still negotiate, but now you have offended us, so we don't want money. We only want your lives." After Qin Haodong finished speaking, the smile on his face disappeared, and a golden sword appeared in his palm. Smith's face was suddenly full of horror. He did not think that this Huaxia man was joking with him. With Qin Haodong's skills, as long as he attacked, he would not have a chance to beg for mercy. He quickly said, "Please don't. Let us go. We can give you the 12 zodiac bronze statues." Hearing the words, 12 zodiac bronze statues, Qin Haodong's mind moved and he took back the Xian Yuan sword that was about to be released. "Your reaction is very fast. If you were a little slower, my sword would have cut your throat." Qin Haodong squatted down and looked at Smith and said, "But if you lie to me, you will die more miserably." "I dare not. I dare not lie to you." Smith nodded hurriedly. Although he was a well-known thief, he was not a fierce bandit, and he was not so tough. In the face of Qin Haodong's killing intent, he had already become soft. "How did you get the bronze head?" Smith said, 5 years ago, my wife and I sneaked into the treasure house of the rich man Gompos and saw the ox head among the 12 bronze heads. We knew it was a good thing. The last bronze head had just been sold for tens of millions of yuan, so we stole it." Qin Haodong asked, "Why haven't you sold it after so many years?" Smith said, "We wanted to sell it, but later we found that Gompo's power was too great. He had contacted all the major auction houses in the world. As long as we dared to auction there, we would definitely be caught by them. But our identities can't be exposed. We can't sell it without the auction house, so it has always been in our treasure house and has never been taken out. Hearing this, Chin Haodong had already believed most of it. He said, "Where is your treasure house? How long will it take to get it?" Smith said, "It's on a small island in Southeast Asia. As long as you let us go, I'll send you the ox head very soon." "Let you go? Will you come back after I let you go?" Chin Haodong said, "Well, I'll let you go and keep your wife here. I'll give you 1 day. You must come back with the ox head." "Okay." Smith agreed without hesitation. But Chin Haodong still felt a little worried. What if this guy ran away and left his wife alone? He reached out and took out a black pill and stuffed it into Smith's mouth. Before Smith could figure out what was going on, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his stomach. The pain seemed to come from the bone marrow and went straight to his soul, making him twitch all over. It was unbearable. Chin Haodong reached out and patted him on the chest, and the pain immediately disappeared. In just a few seconds, Smith was in so much pain that he was sweating all over his body, as if he had taken a bath. Chin Haodong said, "This is the 3 days intestines breaking powder that I refined. If you don't come back within 24 hours, it will take effect once. One time, it will last for 3 minutes. After 3 times, you will die. I'll come back. I'll definitely come back." Smith's face was full of fear. This kind of pain to the bone marrow, not to mention 3 minutes, just 3 seconds had already taken half of his life. After a few breaths, he said to Chin Haodong pitifully, "Mr. Chin, can you let me put on that dress? You know, without it, it will be very inconvenient for me to do many things. It will delay the efficiency of my treasure taking." "It doesn't seem to be an antique at all, so we have been throwing it in the vault and not selling it." Then, he asked nervously, "Mr. Chin, are you satisfied with this thing? Can we change our clothes back?" "Yes." Chin Haodong agreed. Although he didn't understand what was going on with this book, there was definitely an extremely powerful force sealed in it. If he could find the way to use it, it should not lose to the devil vanquishing wand, or even be a little higher than it. After that, he unlocked Cash's acupoints and said, "You can go now. Remember not to steal from me again, unless you can take out another sculpted head of the 12 zodiac animals in exchange for your life." Smith said embarrassedly, "Mr. Chin, we will never do that again. We are just thieves, not desperados." After that, he took Kasha out of the window and left the Lee's villa. After they left, Chin Haodong was no longer in the mood to study the book. He put it into the storage ring, then opened the seal of the 12 zodiac animal heads and took out the upper-level spirit stone from it. He set up a defensive formation in the room. There were too many thieves who had been harassing him these days, and there was also a cracker hiding in the dark, so he had to be careful when breaking through. Everything was ready. Nalan Wushuang guarded beside him. He held the upper-level spirit stone in his palm and once again began to break through to the late stage of gold core. The eternal green wood skill ran, and the spiritual chi emitted by the upper-level spirit stone was quickly sucked into Chin Haodong's body like a vacuum cleaner, constantly enriching and strengthening his genuine chi. As time went by, the upper-level spirit stone became smaller and smaller, and eventually turned into a pile of fine powder. Nalan Wushuang stared at Chin Haodong. Could it be that he failed again this time? 2 upper-level spirit stones couldn't help him break through. At this moment, Chin Haodong's momentum suddenly rose, and the golden elixir in his dantian shone brightly, like a crystal-clear pearl, and its volume was more than twice as large as before. The late stage of gold core. After consuming 2 upper-level spirit stones, he finally broke through the bottleneck of the middle stage of gold core and entered the late stage of gold core. Feeling the strength in his body, Chin Haodong's face was full of joy. Now, as long as he didn't encounter a saint, he was absolutely invincible in the world of supreme power. "Haodong, did you succeed?" Nalan Wushuang asked in surprise. Yes, let's go celebrate. Qin Haodong picked up Nalan Wushuang by her waist and rushed into the bedroom again. What they didn't know was that at this time on the major forums of the underground world, the news of the failure of Shadowless Thief and Mr. and Mrs. Smith had been posted. Although everyone didn't know the specific process, they were all amazed by the defensive ability of this Huaxia man, which was comparable to the security of the Louvre. Even these two strong men had failed. At this time, Cracker posted a post on the forum, saying that within 24 hours, he would get Picasso's manuscript in the hands of the Huaxia man, proving that he was the king of antique thieves. Everyone was looking forward to the news of Cracker, wondering if he could steal Picasso's painting from the hands of the Huaxia man. As soon as they arrived at the airport, a large passenger plane slowly landed. However, there were not many people alighting from the plane. In the lead were 3 old Caucasian men, followed by their servants and bodyguards. This was a private chartered plane, not an ordinary passenger plane. After getting off the plane, Sir Owen was already waiting there. When he saw the 3 old men, he immediately went up and hugged each of them. Old friends, welcome. It turned out that these 3 men were all his friends. They were Cantona, Gompos and Joseph, famous collectors in Europe. After saying goodbye to Sir Owen, the 3 of them got into his limousine and left the airport together. After getting in the car, Cantona asked, Sir Owen, does that Huaxia man really have 30 Picasso's manuscripts? Is this true or is God kidding us? Sir Owen said, old friend, this is really not a joke. Mr. Qin is very great. He does have many Picasso's manuscripts. I was lucky enough to exchange for 10 of them. They are now in my treasure room. Gompos said, Sir, Picasso's paintings have been very rare these years. How could there be so many of them at once? The Huaxia man has always been cunning. Are you sure about those paintings? Will there be any problems? Hearing what he said, the smile on Sir Owen's face disappeared. He said seriously, Gompos, are you questioning my ability to identify antiques? Those paintings have been identified by Gerard. Don't you believe Gerard's level? Gompos smiled embarrassedly and said, Sir, don't be angry. I just think it's a little strange that there are so many paintings of Picasso at once. Sir Owen was obviously still angry. He continued, I can assure you that these paintings are absolutely real. Not only have they been identified by Gerard, but they have also successfully passed the carbon-14 inspection. As collectors, we can't ask how Mr. Qin got them. We just need to know that these paintings are real. It's a pity that Mr. Qin only agreed to exchange the bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals, and the 2 in my hands have been used up. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had a chance at all. I would have put them in the treasure room myself. Joseph said, Sir, good things should be collected by everyone. There are so many paintings of Picasso. You should share some with us. Sir Owen said, have you found the bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals? I don't think Mr. Qin will exchange with you without them. Joseph said, yes, I happen to have one in my treasure room. It hasn't been touched for many years. Fortunately, I didn't sell it. Otherwise, I would have missed this good opportunity. Cantona said, this time, each of us brought a bronze head of the 12 zodiac animals. We should be able to take all of Picasso's paintings in Mr. Qin's hands. In Qin Haodong's room, it was full of sex. In the sound of blood boiling, he not only stabilized his cultivation at the late stage of the gold core realm with the help of double cultivation, but also stepped into the threshold of the 9th level of the supreme power realm with Nalan Wushuang. When the 2 of them walked out of the room excitedly, it was already midnight. Haodong, I'm not dreaming, am I? Nalan Wushuang couldn't believe it was true. Just a few days ago, she was just a warrior at the covert power realm. In just a week, she had already reached the 9th level of the supreme power realm and become the supreme existence among warriors. And it was the little man in front of her who brought all of this to her. Qin Haodong said with a smirk, how can it be a dream? Do you want me to prove it to you again? It's all true. Nalan Wushuang said shyly, "This doesn't count. It will happen even in a dream." Qin Haodong raised his hand and slapped her waist. He said casually, "Then I'll open the window and get some fresh air. I'll let you feel the real world." After that, he cancelled the defensive formation in the room and opened all the windows to let the fresh air in. But at this moment, a gust of wind passed by, directly sweeping away the Picasso painting on the table and rushing out of the window on the other side. Chapter 638. Wait for me here. Qin Haodong shouted and chased after the gust of wind. Although the other party's speed was so fast that it was beyond the range of what the naked eye could see, his spirit could still sense that it was a person. It was just that the speed was too fast, so there was a whirlwind. Heaven's stealing legs. He immediately realized that this person was Heaven's stealing legs, who was ranked first among the antique thieves. His speed was indeed extremely fast and he deserved the title of Divine Legs. Although Qin Haodong had already reached the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm, he was still a little slower than Heaven's stealing legs in terms of speed. Heaven's stealing legs seemed to be floating in the air. He could step over anything he encountered. Even the air under his feet seemed to be solid. Sometimes, he could even fly hundreds of meters in the air with both feet. Heaven's stealing legs did not look back at all. He just kept running in front of him. It seemed that he had absolute confidence in his speed and it was impossible for others to catch up with him. It was true. Although Qin Haodong was also very fast, the distance between the two of them was still getting bigger and bigger. Soon, Heaven's stealing legs could not be seen. But he was not in a hurry. He had left his divine sense mark on those Picasso's paintings. As long as Heaven's stealing legs did not run out of Hong Kong, he could find them. Heaven's stealing legs ran all the way out of the urban area of Hong Kong. He ran up a cliff like the wind and then jumped onto a tree that was more than 10 meters high. Only then did he stop. He looked back at the quiet night sky and a smug smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The number 1 antique thief would definitely be him. Although Qin Haodong was also very powerful, he could not catch up with him. He took out a mobile phone from his pocket and opened the web page of the underground forum. Then, he took those Picasso's paintings from behind him and prepared to take photos and post them on the internet to prove that he had succeeded. At this moment, someone suddenly said coldly behind him, "Boy, you run very fast, but these paintings are still mine. No one can take them away." Heaven's stealing legs was so scared that his whole body trembled. He quickly put away his mobile phone and looked back. He saw Qin Haodong standing on a treetop behind him and looking at him coldly. Facing such a powerful enemy, Heaven's stealing leg only had one thought, and that was to run. He jumped down from the canopy and fled into the distance. But this time, Qin Haodong was on full alert. How could he give him a chance to escape? No matter how fast he was, he could not be faster than the flying sword. After a flash of golden light, a shrill scream pierced through the night sky. The Xianyuan sword directly cut off the legs of Skycracker. After letting out a miserable howl, he fell to the ground from mid-air and found that everything below his knees was gone. The severe pain made him roll all over the ground, and after a few tosses, he passed out. Qin Haodong gently jumped down from the tree, rolled up the paintings, and put them into the storage ring. Then, he walked toward the Heaven Cracker. This guy was a warrior, but his cultivation was not strong. He was only at the level of covert power. Moreover, his cultivation method was to run faster and did not have strong attack power. Qin Haodong suddenly, he saw an ancient thread-bound book on the ground. It had fallen out when Skycracker was rolling on the ground because of the pain in his legs. He picked it up and looked at it. It was a very old thread-bound book with ancient Huaxia characters on it. On the cover, there were 4 big words, Skycracker's legs. It could be seen that this guy learned his lightness kung fu from this ancient book, and he even gave himself the same name. Qin Haodong reached out and pointed a few times on the broken leg of Skycracker to help him stop the bleeding. Then, he kicked him awake. When Skycracker came to his senses, he immediately burst into tears when he saw his broken leg. My leg is gone. My leg, you have to pay for my leg, shut up. If you shout again, I'll kill you. Qin Haodong said as he pointed the Xianyuan sword at his neck. He said in a cold voice, since you've been stealing things from others all day, you should be prepared to have your legs broken. Skycracker was not a tough guy. When he felt the murderous intent on the Xianyuan sword, he immediately closed his mouth and did not dare to make a sound. Qin Haodong raised the thread-bound book in his hand and said, Where did you get this? Skycracker quickly said, It's mine. If Mr. Qin wants it, I'll give it to you as long as you spare my life. Qin Haodong said, I'm asking you where you got it. I used to be a tomb robber. I found this book in an ancient tomb 20 years ago. I practiced it when I had nothing to do and found that my running speed was much faster. After discovering this benefit, I kept practicing and ran faster and faster. No one could catch up with me anymore, so they gave me the nickname Skycracker's legs. Where is that ancient tomb? Qin Haodong asked. The person who could leave this kind of cultivation method was definitely a master. If he had the chance, he also wanted to go and have a look. Skycracker's legs saw through his thoughts and said, Mr. Qin, don't even think about going. When I went to the ancient tomb, it had been almost stolen. This book was hidden in a stone box and was very secretive. Otherwise, it would have been taken away long ago. After I mastered the sky-pilfering divine legs, I went there again to take a look. The ancient tomb had been blown up by someone, and I couldn't find anything useful anymore. Qin Haodong thought it was a pity and said, I was going to kill you, but for the sake of this book, I'll spare your life. But you have to stay in Hong Kong for 3 days, and then I'll let you go. Okay, thank you for sparing my life, Mr. Qin. Skycracker's legs knew that Qin Haodong wanted to use him to scare other chickens hiding in the dark, but as long as he could keep him alive, he didn't care what he did. Qin Haodong stopped talking nonsense. He picked up the belt of Skycracker's legs and returned to Hong Kong. He chose a downtown area and threw Skycracker's legs there. That was indeed his purpose. These days, the Li family's villa had been annoyed by the overwhelming number of thieves, and Zhang Tinyu and the others were also very tired. The best way to make these thieves who valued money more than their lives give up was to use Skycracker's legs as a warning. The top thief's legs had been broken, so they should completely give up. Qin Haodong sent the photos of Skycracker's legs to Donnie Randall. Soon, the miserable photos of Skycracker's legs appeared on all the underground forums. This trick worked quickly. Half an hour later, the thieves near the Li family's villa all retreated, and the whole world became quiet. The top 3 thieves in the world all returned in failure and even lost their legs, which made others completely give up the idea of stealing. Although Picasso's painting was good, after all, their lives were more important. Qin Haodong went back to his room, put the painting in his hand on the table, and then took out the thread-bound book of Skycracker's legs. Nalan Wushuang asked, What is this? Qin Haodong said, It's a good thing. It's a cultivation method left by an ancient sect. It has unique features in terms of lightness. After that, he took Nalan Wushuang's hand and opened the thread-bound book. The two of them began to study it page by page. This book was divided into 2 parts. The first part was the internal cultivation method of Skycracker's legs, and the second part was the method of lightness. Qin Haodong had the cultivation of his previous life as the foundation, so it was much faster for him to learn other cultivation methods. After an hour, he had basically mastered the skill of Skycracker's legs. Nalan Wushuang was a little slower, but under his guidance, she finally learned this set of leg skills. The two of them jumped out of the window and began to feel this new set of leg skills. Because of their cultivation, they were faster than Skycracker's legs. According to the book, as long as they were fast enough, they could borrow the force of anything. When they ran to the extreme, they felt that the air under their feet had a kind of solid feeling, which could be used to borrow the force. After they were familiar with the cultivation method, they ran faster and faster. It only took them 10 minutes to run around Hong Kong. Good cultivation method. Back in the room, Qin Haodong sighed from the bottom of his heart. He had collected countless cultivation methods in the cultivation world, but none of them could compare with Skycracker's legs in terms of speed. He didn't expect that there could be such a superior lightness cultivation method on Earth. It could be seen that the martial arts here used to be glorious, but later it went into decline for some reason. The next morning, Qin Haodong received a call from Sir Owen. "Dear Qin, do you have time today? Can you come to my house? I have 3 old friends here. They are all great collectors. They want to see the works of Picasso in your hands." Qin Haodong said, "Sir Owen, I have already told you my conditions. Have they all brought what I want?" If he wanted to improve his cultivation further, he needed upper-level spirit stones, and he needed 2 upper-level spirit stones to break through from the middle stage of gold core to the late stage of gold core. If he wanted to break through to the early stage of nascent soul, he needed at least 4 upper-level spirit stones, or even more. Now it seemed that there must still be upper-level spirit stones on Earth. Maybe they were in the relics of a big sect, but they could only be found by chance. At present, the most direct way was to get the upper-level spirit stones hidden in the bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals. Sir Owen said, of course, each of them brought a bronze head of the 12 zodiac animals and wanted to exchange it with Mr. Qin. Hearing that there were 3 bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals, Qin Haodong was delighted and said, "Okay, Sir Owen, I'll go to your place right away." He and Nayland Wushuang made some preparations. This time, they didn't even bring Uncle Cheng. They drove directly to Sir Owen's manor. When they arrived at the gate, Fred was already waiting there. "Mr. Qin, please come with me." Fred led the way and took them into Sir Owen's luxurious living room. "My dear Qin, welcome." After seeing Qin Haodong, Sir Owen gave him a hug and then turned around to introduce Cantona and the others. Joseph took the lead and said, "Mr. Qin, I heard that you have a lot of Mr. Picasso's works. Can we have a look?" Of course. Since he wanted to exchange, he had to accept the inspection. Qin Haodong took out 3 albums of Picasso's works from his canvas bag and put them on the table. Chapter 639. Cantona and the others had obviously come prepared. Each of them had a professional appraiser with them. When these people saw the paintings that Qin Haodong took out, they immediately rushed over and looked at them one by one, like people who had been hungry for many days seeing bread. "Oh my God, this painting is really great. I'm sure that it was painted by Picasso himself. This piece of paper is the sketch paper of the Middle Ages. It can't be copied even if you want to. Oil painting, this is Picasso's oil painting. His signature is below it. It's really Picasso's handwriting. I can recognize it." These people were appraising and appreciating at the same time. From time to time, they exclaimed. Although Sir Owen did not exchange the 12 zodiac animals for these paintings of Picasso, he also went over to admire them. In the whole hall, only Qin Haodong and Nayland Wushuang sat leisurely next to each other, picking up the red wine glass from time to time and taking a sip. After a full 20 minutes, these people slowly woke up from their excitement and rearranged the albums. Qin Haodong glanced at Cantona and the others, then said with a smile, "Dear gentlemen, what do you think of my painting?" "It's great, it's really great. We haven't seen such a perfect painting for a long time." Cantona, who had a big beard, was so excited that his beard jumped. Qin Haodong said, "Does that mean there's no problem with my painting?" Cantona said, "No problem. This is the real Picasso. We can exchange it now." "Wait a minute." Qin Haodong said, "You've seen my painting. I still need to see your bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals. I can exchange them only after I'm sure." "That's right," Cantona said and waved to the appraiser behind him. The appraiser reported a big box. When it was opened, it was a dog head of the 12 zodiac animals. Qin Haodong scanned it with his spirit and felt the fluctuation of the seal on the dog head. He immediately confirmed that it was real. He pretended to go forward to make an appraisal and said, "Mr. Cantona, I like your bronze head very much. Let's exchange it." "That's great, my God. From now on, you are my friend. Welcome to Europe." Cantona shook his beard excitedly and reached out to grab the album of oil paintings. "I already have Picasso's sketches in my exhibition room, so I'm very eager for his oil paintings. This album is mine." Sir Owen said enviously, "Congratulations, old friend." Cantona said, "I also want to thank you for helping me get to know a great collector like Chin." Seeing Cantona take away the album of oil paintings, the others were envious. Joseph said, "Dear Mr. Chin, I also want to exchange these works with you, and I've brought the sculpted heads of the 12 zodiacs. But there's one thing I have to explain to you first. My bronze head was passed down from my ancestors, and it has always been in the Joseph family's treasury. I don't know why there is one in the Huaxia Museum. I think what I have is real, so please have a look, Mr. Chin. If you don't mind, we can carry out the exchange. If you mind, I can only say that I'm sorry." Chin Haodong said, "It doesn't matter, Mr. Joseph. I'll take a look and see if I can make the exchange." He felt that this Mrs. Joseph was not bad. She would say whatever she wanted to say on the table. He had a good impression of her straightforward personality. Moreover, the bronze head in the Huaxia Museum was not necessarily the real one. For example, the dragon head was in his hands, while the one in the museum was forged later. Joseph asked his appraiser to place the box on the table and take out a bronze rabbit head of the 12 zodiac animals from within. Chin Haodong sensed it with his spirit. There was a faint seal fluctuation on it. It seemed that this one was indeed real, and the one in the Huaxia Museum could only be a fake. He went over and played with the rabbit head in his hand. He looked at Joseph, who was a little nervous, and said, "I like this rabbit head very much. Whether it's real or fake, I'm willing to exchange with you." "That's great, Chin. This is really good news." Joseph came over, hugged Chin Haodong, and kissed him hard on the forehead. He had always been very eager for Picasso's painting. On the way here, he was always worried. Now, he could finally officially exchange. He gave the rabbit head to Chin Haodong and then chose the children's album. 2 of the 3 people had completed the exchange, and only Gompos was left. Gompos said, "Dear Mr. Chin, there is nothing wrong with my bronze head. It has never appeared in the Huaxia Museum. You can rest assured." After that, he asked his appraiser to move the box to the table and take out a bronze head from it. When he saw the bronze head, Chin Haodong's face changed, because it was a bull's head. The real bull head was now in his storage ring. The upper-level spirit stone had been used, so there was no doubt that this was a fake. Mr. and Mrs. Smith once told him that this bull head was stolen from a rich man named Gompos, but many people in Europe had this name. People in Huaxia couldn't tell them apart at all, so he didn't care too much at first. He didn't expect it to be this Gompos. "Mr. Chin, what do you think? If there is no problem, this still life album is mine," Gompos said as he reached out to grab the album. He saw clearly that Chin Haodong had just checked the 2 bronze heads of the 12 zodiac. It was not professional at all. It was completely a formality. In his opinion, he was a rich man who didn't know anything. In this case, he naturally couldn't see any problem with the bronze head. Unexpectedly, before his hand touched the album, Chin Haodong said in a cold voice, "I'm sorry, Mr. Gompos. I don't like your bull head, so we can't exchange." What a joke. When it came to appraising the bronze heads of the 12 zodiac, no one in the world was more professional than him. How could he be fooled by a fake bull head? Gompos looked the same, and then his face darkened. He said discontentedly, "Mr. Chin, why? Why can other people's bronze heads be exchanged? Only mine can't be exchanged?" Chin Haodong frowned. This old guy was really asking for a snub. He had been very euphemistic. It would be good for both sides to save some face. Did he have to say it out loud? Mr. Gompos, I've already said that I'll exchange if I like it, and I won't exchange if I don't like it. I don't like your bull head, so I can't exchange with you. No, it's not appropriate. Gompos said with a gloomy face, I'm a famous figure in the collection world in Europe and even in the world. If you treat me like this, others will mistakenly think that my bull head is fake and it will affect my reputation, so you have to exchange with me. Sir Owen said, Mr. Gompos, you don't have to do this. Maybe you'll get better things in the future. He was a little dissatisfied with Gompos' behavior. Since Qin Haodong was unwilling to exchange, why did he keep pestering him? The exchange should have been voluntary. This was not what a gentleman would do. Originally, Gompos should have given up after saying this, but this guy did not mean to stop at all. He continued to shout, No, you can't do this. I think this is a humiliation to me. Qin Haodong had just gotten 2 upper-level spirit stones and was in a very good mood, so he didn't want to argue with this old guy. He didn't expect that this guy would take advantage of him. Since the other party was shameless, there was no need for him to continue to save face. He said, Mr. Gompos, since you said so, I'm sorry to tell you that your bull head is fake. What? How could the thing I took out be fake? Do you know anything about appraisal? You have to give me a reason to say that it's fake. Sir Owen said, Yes, Mr. Qin, are you sure? In their circle, if someone took out a fake to exchange with a friend, it was a very shameful thing. He was afraid that Qin Haodong had said it in a moment of anger. His bull head is indeed fake. Qin Haodong said, Because the real bull head is in my hands. Cantona said, Gompos, since Mr. Qin already has a bull head in his hands, let's forget about it. He also felt that there was no need to say whose was real and whose was fake in such a private exchange. Otherwise, it would not look good for anyone. But Gompos still said firmly, This is not a reason at all. Why is the bull head in your hand not a fake? Why do you say that it's just a fake? Qin Haodong's face also became cold. This guy who didn't know when to retreat was really annoying. It was obvious that he wanted to exchange his painting with a fake bull head. Mr. and Mrs. Smith's ox head sculpture was stolen from Gompos. He must have known that it was really lost. This ox head sculpture must have been imitated by him. He knew that it was a fake, but he still said it so confidently. This was the essence of the problem. He said coldly, Are you sure you want me to prove it to you? Of course, you can't say that my thing is fake for no reason. You should apologize to me now and then complete the exchange. The reason why Gompos was so firm was that he was full of confidence. This bull head was made in a hurry by someone in order to exchange for Picasso's painting. He had a master of counterfeiting. The fake antiques made by this person generally had no flaws and were difficult to be seen through. Qin Haodong's performance was too casual. He was not like a professional in antiques at all, so he insisted again and again to get the painting in Qin Haodong's hands. Then I'll prove it to you. After Qin Haodong said that, he turned back and pulled out the beauty thorn in Nalan Wushuang's hand. He slashed at the bull head fiercely. With the infusion of his genuine qi, the beauty thorn was almost invincible. It cut the bull head in half with one slash. Chapter 640. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. They were shocked that Qin Haodong could cut open the bronze ox head sculpture. At the same time, they did not understand why he did this. After Gompos came to his senses, he shouted angrily, Barbaraquashia man, why did you destroy my things? Qin Haodong ignored him. He pointed to the broken ox head sculpture and said to Cantona and others, You are all experts in ancient Chinese. Now you should understand that this is a fake, right? These people looked at the ox head sculpture and immediately understood Qin Haodong's intention. They saw that the cut of the ox head sculpture was very bright, and at the same time, it was shining with a metallic luster. It was obviously a bronze that had just been cast. It did not look like a centuries-old antique at all. There was no need for the appraiser to identify it. Everyone knew that the ox head sculpture was fake. Sir Owen said, "Mr. Gompos, it's shameful to deceive your friends with fake antiques. You should give us an explanation." Gompos was dumbfounded. After he made this fake bronze head sculpture, he had asked several professional experts to identify it. These people did not find any flaws. But he never expected that the Huaxia man in front of him did not take the usual way and directly cut the bronze head sculpture. The fake craftsmanship was all on the outside, but the inside could not be hidden in any way. He licked his dry lips and said embarrassedly, "Sir Owen, I'm really sorry. I didn't know that this ox head sculpture was fake." His reason was barely reasonable. After all, no one could guarantee that the things in their collection were 100% authentic. It was normal to have one or two fakes. But since they had fallen out, Qin Haodong did not intend to let this guy go. He directly used the soul-devouring skill and asked, "Mr. Gompos, is that true? Please explain to God what is going on." "God, I was wrong." Gompos said, "I did have a bronze ox head sculpture of the 12 zodiac animals in my early years, but I lost it later. But I coveted those paintings of Picasso, so I specially found someone to make this fake ox head sculpture. I want to complete this exchange with you." "My God, how can you do such a shameless thing? Is this still what a gentleman would do? Shameful. It's too shameful. How dare you make a fake to deceive your friends? What's your bottom line?" After Gompos finished speaking, Sir Owen and the others' expressions changed greatly, and they all began to criticize Gompos. Sir Owen said, "Gompos, you disappoint me. People like you are not welcome in my house. Please go out." Cantona said, "From today on, we have nothing to do with each other anymore. We are no longer friends. I'm ashamed to be friends with someone like you." Joseph said, "Me too. I won't have any contact with you in the future." Gompos came to his senses and was too ashamed to stay here any longer. He left Sir Owen's manor with his appraiser and servants in disgrace. After he left, Sir Owen said to Qin Haodong, "Mr. Qin, I apologize for his shameless behavior. Sir, this has nothing to do with you, and I am very grateful for your help." Today, Qin Haodong had exchanged 2 of the 12 zodiac's core, which was quite satisfactory. He should really thank Sir Owen for all this. He picked up the rest of the still life album and said, "Sir, to show my gratitude, this album is for you." "Oh my God, dear Qin, are you really giving it to me?" Sir Owen couldn't believe his ears. He didn't expect that Qin Haodong could take out such a precious thing and give it away so casually. Qin Haodong smiled and said, "Of course, sir. Thank you for your help this time." Sir Owen said excitedly, "Dear Qin, you are really my best friend. If you need anything in the future, just tell me." Qin Haodong nodded and said to Cantona and the other 2, "Everyone, it's nice to meet you. If you find any bronze statues of the 12 zodiac animals in the future, you are welcome to come and exchange with me or send me a message." Cantona said, "Mr. Qin, we are also very happy to meet you. You will be our friend in the future." Joseph said, "Qin, do you still have Picasso's paintings?" Qin Haodong smiled and said, "Mr. Joseph, please rest assured. Even if I don't have Picasso's paintings, I will definitely be able to give you something that will satisfy you, as long as you can take out the real bronze heads of the 12 zodiac animals." He didn't have any now, but as long as he was willing, he could draw the paintings of Leonardo da Vinci, Van Gogh, Picasso and others anytime and anywhere. After the exchange, Qin Haodong declined Sir Owen's invitation to have lunch with him and returned to the Li's villa with Naylan Wushuang. After entering the door, he found a beautiful woman sitting in his room. It was Feng Wu, who looked like a fairy. "Feng Wu, you are here." Although she had said in the morning that she would come to see him, Qin Haodong was still a little surprised. He went over and held her hand. "Don't be like this. Sister Wushuang is still here." Although the 2 of them were cultivation partners, Feng Wu was still a little embarrassed. Her jade-like cheeks flushed, It's nothing. We will be a family in the future. Qin Haodong said as he held Nalan Wushuang's hand in his palm. This time, even Nalan Wushuang's face turned red. He then said to Feng Wu, "Have you finished your business?" Feng Wu nodded and said, "I have told my master everything about you. She is very happy. She asked me to stay by your side all the time. One is to protect your safety, and the other is to improve my cultivation quickly so that I can become a saint as soon as possible like Sister Shirhan." Speaking of this, her cheeks became redder and redder. The so-called rapid improvement of cultivation was to have more cultivation partners. Qin Haodong did not realize this. He asked again, "By the way, do you have any news about Shirhan? How is she now?" Feng Wu said, Sister Shirhan was indeed taken back to the Insha sect by her master. Now she is the master of the Insha sect. Oh. That's good. Qin Haodong nodded and was also happy for this little girl. Feng Wu said, "I heard that you have an appointment with Mei Zhanlong on the Divine Dragon Island. Do you want me to fight for you?" "No, I'm now a 9th level Supreme Power Master." Qin Haodong said and injected genuine qi into Feng Wu's body according to the cultivation method of the Shenyuan skill. Feng Wu felt a powerful genuine qi combining with her genuine qi of Lei Mother. It was several times stronger than before and quickly flowed through her limbs and bones. "Great! This is great!" she cried out excitedly. The stronger Qin Haodong's cultivation was, the better the effect of their dual cultivation would be. This gave her hope to break through the bottleneck of the Saint Realm. In the next few days, Qin Haodong spent his happy dual cultivation with Feng Wu and Nalan Wushuang. Outside, the matter about the duel between him and Mei Zhanlong was getting more and more heated. Influenced by his long-term reputation, more people were optimistic about Mei Zhanlong, but few people were optimistic about Qin Haodong. Who was Mei Zhanlong? He was known as the #1 person in the magic circle of Hong Kong and the #1 master in Hong Kong. No one had shaken his position for many years. Everyone knew that his magic power was boundless and his Taoist magic arts were profound. On weekdays, many high-ranking officials, nobles and princes were his distinguished guests. Only the top rich people could visit him. How could such a person lose the duel? Gambling in Hong Kong was legal. The major casinos here opened their own bets one after another. What was strange was that the bets opened by the casinos were 1-1. Mei Zhanlong's odds were 10-9, and Qin Haodong's odds were also 10-9. Ordinary people did not understand what was going on. They thought that they had gained a big advantage, so they all placed their bets on Mei Zhanlong. After operating for so many years, the casinos naturally had their own opening rules. Ordinary people did not know who Qin Haodong was, but they knew very well. He was the medical sage from Huaxia. He could kill Master Jia, Sarabanta, and Ichenzi silently. A few days ago, the top 3 thieves in the world were all defeated by him. It was not easy to win against such a person. Li Meiyu had taken over the Li family's business, but she still had to ask Li Donghua for advice on some important matters. "Grandpa, now the casino has opened the odds of Haodong and Mei Zhanlong. What should we bet?" Li Donghua picked up the teacup in front of him and took a sip. He looked up at his granddaughter and said, "If the medical sage loses this duel, how much will it affect our Li family?" Li Meiyu said, "It will have a great impact. Because of our relationship with Haodong, I guess Mei Zhanlong will vent his anger on our Li family and even wipe us out of Hong Kong. Now we are in the same boat as Haodong." Li Donghua said, "In that case, why are you hesitating?" "I understand, Grandpa." Li Meiyu agreed and then mobilized all the family's funds to bet on Qin Haodong. It was very clear that they were bound together with Qin Haodong. If Qin Haodong won, the Li family would usher in an unprecedented future. If Qin Haodong lost, the Li family would also cease to exist. In an extremely hidden luxury villa in America, Donnie Randall had become the new master of the underground deep web. She kept checking the important information sent by her subordinates. When she saw the bet between Qin Haodong and Mei Zhanlong, a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Others might not know, but she knew very well how terrible this Huaxia man was. She had bet all her family's money on Qin Haodong. After that, she murmured, "Huaxia man, although I didn't steal your painting, I will make a lot of money from you." After receiving the news, Lin Momo in Shanghai also mobilized all the funds in her hands and bet all on Qin Haodong. In addition, Sir Owen also bet heavily on Qin Haodong. Even Tian Yi and Zhang Chaohui of the shopping center bet on Qin Haodong. In this way, the major casinos in Hong Kong went completely crazy. There were many people betting on Mei Zhanlong, but the amount of money betting on Qin Haodong was much larger. The two sides were still evenly matched. Soon it was the day of the duel. Qin Haodong refused the bodyguards arranged by the Li family. He only boarded the speedboat arranged by the Li family with Nailan Wushuang and Feng Wu and headed for Divine Dragon Island. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.